Meadow State rivalry showdown that is the Dorman Cavaliers and the Gaffney Indians. Just a moment ago, our coin toss taking place as the Cavaliers and the Indians under the direction of Dan Jones and, of course, legendary head coach David Gutschall on the other sideline. That coin toss turned out this way, Tom, as Dorman and Gaffney have taken the field here. And by the way, our coin toss, as always, one of the sponsored elements brought to you by Childers Heating and Air Conditioning for all of our South Carolina-based games. We thank the folks at Childers Heating and Air for the coverage of the coin toss. Dorman, as you can see, won the toss. The Cavaliers decided to defer. Gaffney will get the football first.
Yeah, they are, and they're a high-powered offense, over 30 points every single game this year so far. We had them in game one, and put 31 points on the board of the win at Spartanburg.
Dan Jones' team unbeaten coming into this battle with one of their historic rivals. Maybe more history to this rivalry. Let's say it this way, as much as any in the upstate, that is sure. And this is going to be through the end zone for a touchback, so Gaffney will take over. Following the touchback, they are led to the charge by quarterback Grayson Loftus. This Gaffney team that has rushed the football about 60% of the time this year. They were about 60% pass, 40% run a year ago. These Dorman fans are going to see Gaffney rush the football, which may play into Gaffney's hands a little bit on a wet, soggy night like tonight.
A big offensive line as we get into it, from tackle to tackle, about 283, over 200 yards rushing, 152 pass.
A couple of big backs in Littlejohn and Smith as well. And the first carry is going to go to Ken Littlejohn, and he sweeps it far side and is up near the 30-yard line. Again, Grayson Loftus can throw the football, and they believe the next step in the growth of this team is him getting the ball to the wide receivers. Speaking of backs, speaking of receivers, here's the entire Gaffney offensive unit.
Yeah, you saw Littlejohn, he and Tyler Smith outstanding in the backfield, both average about 100 yards per game. Jadarius Littlejohn, one of the wide receivers, and up front, led by Sawyer Whitman, the right guard, who's a commitment to the Citadel.
Loftus on second down. It's going to work its way this direction. First glance at Tyler Smith. Those are the two Gaffney backs. They split the initial couple of carries here. Third down coming as we look at Dorman defensively. They're strong on that front line.
Yeah, be aware of the two defensive ends. Hudson Lee, 6'5", 255. Bo Rosenborough, 5'10", 250. Linebacker Brandon Teamers, a sophomore into the secondary. Cam Meadows at the safety spot. They will anchor that secondary for.
No Xavier Birch for Dorman tonight. They expect to have him back for the region contest with Burns next week. How about Burns not getting to play with that cancellation? This is the tune-up for that big region battle. They had a tune-up with Riverside. Not going to happen. What is going to happen? Gaffney moved the chains. A third down conversion for the Indians, and the drive, the initial drive of the football game, will continue.
Well, he can put it on the ground, and we have seen both Tyler Smith and Ken Littlejohn. We mentioned Smith, 112 yards per game. Littlejohn right behind him, 91 yards per contest. So, you know, they can give it to either one of those guys.
There's a great look at Grayson Loftus. Trying to pad those passing numbers a little bit perhaps here. He's going to sling it out near side, but that is right in and then out of the hands of Edward Jeffries. Gaffney hoping Edward Jeffries makes a number of catches tonight. This is not going to be the first for number one.
Well, you have Loftus there, 6'4", 210, the junior quarterback, as you get a good look there at that young man, 5'9", 185. He's got 17 catches on the year, so they can throw the ball a little bit. Visiting with Dan Jones, a little bit more consistency in that part of the game.
Both teams a little short-handed tonight for one reason, then another. You think about protocols, what that can do to your team. You know, injuries at this juncture in the season are always an issue. So neither coming in full song, although they are both playing their best football now after a few weeks under the belt. Here's Tyler Smith once again, but he's stacked up by that Dorman front. And among others, turning and looking right at the camera is Kelvin Broadhurst. Again, Lee, Broadhurst, Crocker, Roseboro across the front. It's worth underscoring. They are a force to be reckoned with. And Gaffney's strength rushing versus Dorman's strength on that front line. That's going to be one of the great matchups tonight.
Yeah, we're going to see it, I think, on both sides of the football as well. A lot of similarities between these two teams.
Experienced line for Gaffney, one of the reasons they run it so well. Speaking of the cannon that belongs to Loftus, he puts it on display, but there's too much air underneath this as he once more looked for Edward Jeffries. Incomplete, fourth down, and here is the first time we will see Dorman with the football. Punting unit coming on for Gaffney.
Yeah, you get behind the chains a little bit with that first down incompletion, and then a short gain and go deep. Had him out there, just overthrew.
A.J. Haynes handles all the duties for Gaffney, and Norman returned a kick last week. but had it called back on a penalty, and that was a sore spot with Coach David Gutschall. He wanted his team to tighten up the penalties across the first few weeks of the season, and he said, I've not asked him to do that this week. I've demanded they do that this week. They had a return on a kick that was called back, among other things, a lot of personal fouls they wanted to clean up. The usual discipline you see from Dorman, it hasn't been there in terms of penalties in the early part of the season. That's one thing they want to see progress tonight. 27 yards on the punt, and Dorman now out to take the football. You're going to see two quarterbacks for Dorman across the way tonight. It's going to be Hudson Talley, joined by Kamarius Bomar. Kamarius Bomar, a youngster, and Talley is guy who they're going to feature in the throwing portion of Dorman's attack, while Bomar will handle a lot of the rushing responsibilities. First time Coach Gutschall has ever had a two-quarterback system in effect. Said it wasn't something we planned on doing, but it is something that once we've seen how well both these young men have played, we have decided to do in this contest. Take a look at the offensive alignment for Dorman following this second down play. As it is Hudson Talley, as he has done, starting the football game, and then, of course, they mix Bomar in along the way as needed. DJ Porter going to receive the catch. Here's the offensive alignment. And, Tom, he was in the starting lineup to begin the day, Tyson Rogers. Rogers, though, not available tonight. That was a last-minute adjustment, so you're going to expect Norman and Porter to carry a little more of the load in the wide receiving corps.
Kendall Norman and also DJ Porter, as Jason said, running back Demarius Foster. He's at 112 yards per ball game. And up front, two big tackles in DJ Geth and Marquis Anderson will lead that outstanding offensive line.
And a third down coming for Dorman on their initial drive, right up near midfield at the 45. We get our first flag. So there is that troublesome spot again. We'll see if it, in fact, goes against the Cavaliers. And I'll say it one more time. Coach Gutschall was specific. He said, we've asked for our young men to eliminate penalties. This week we have demanded that they eliminate penalties if they want to stay on the field. Here's the first of them as they get ready to walk this off against the Cavaliers.
Pretty emphatic, wasn't it, when you were talking with him on the Carolina Virtual Concepts Coaches Corner earlier today, and 17 penalties for 170 yards. And definitely need to clean that one up.
And you think about a Coach Gutschall coached football team, you think about discipline. You think about everything being tight, certainly in the offensive scheme. We'll see if that point of emphasis pays off tonight. Here's some open real estate for DJ Porter, and that's a Dorman first down near the 40-yard line of the Indians. Here's the defensive group that will be trying to slow Dorman's roll across the course of the night.
Well, Nathan Johnson anchors one of the defensive end positions. The linebackers are all good, including Landon Bullock and J.D. Dowdell. And the strong safety in the secondary, Eddie Tate McDowell, will be one of the folks to watch back there tonight.
You mentioned both these teams a little banged up. Marquez Bradley not available. Bradley with what they're calling a sprained shoulder is going to be out for several weeks for Gaffney. They hope to have him back before the end of the year. Dorman hopes to have a lot more of this between here and the end of the year. Loose in space is Foster, and he has the first Dorman touchdown of the night. It comes on the initial drive, 41 yards for Demarius Foster.
Boy, outstanding ball handling there. Had behind him Norman, which you have really got to keep your eyes on him as well, but turned and handed the ball off. And, you know, as you're kind of watching Norman as well, man, up inside, block well on the left side. And once that young man gets to the secondary, forget it. Touchdown.
Had 11 carries, 132 yards coming in a week ago, and did not score one of the rushing touchdowns for Dorman. Has done so here in this one, and he's put the Cavs on the board, an early 7-0 lead for the home team. Dorman a touchdown on the board for a 7-0 lead. 4 plays, 60 yards, 1:49 off the game clock. It is 7-0 Cavaliers. Before Gaffney gets the football back here, Tom, let's take a look at the keys to the game. First for the Indians, and then we'll flip over to the Dorman side.
Well, I had to limit big plays, and already a 41-yard run for a touchdown, and then Gaffney needs to get some stops because Dorman can control the ball. 235 rush, 434 against Riverside.
And then on the Dorman side of things, you talk about protecting the football. We mentioned penalties, and the play of that line, always critical.
Yeah, protect the ball. Gaffney's turnover margin is plus 12, 7 fumble recoveries, 7 interceptions. They turned it only over 2 times. And then you want to try, if you can, that big offensive line, 283 across the board. Control that, see if you can establish the running game and get something going there. Pretty good job by Dorman first time round on the defense. Short punt, touchdown.
Oh, that we could have come back and shown you the 41-yard touchdown run from Foster. That's the story so far. Dorman leading it 7-0, and Gaffney getting set to touch the football once more. And how about that drive, Tom? It was a quick one. The third down conversion key. 4 plays, 60 yards, 149, and here's how the final 41 yards of it looked.
Well, I'll tell you, just, again, 235 yards rushing per game as a team. Kind of found their groove, as Coach was talking with you on the pregame show. First couple of games, and then they want to be able to establish the run as well. They did there in the form of a 41-yard run for a touchdown to take an early lead of this ballgame.
Grayson Loftus and company did move the chains on their opening drive, but saw it stall not far from this location. Never reached midfield, did the Indians. We'll see if they can change that now, trailing by a score. And here is the ability to dance in and out of traffic that Tyler Smith exhibits. Smith has a movement of the chains for the Indians. So a first down, Gaffney. And as we have told you along the way tonight, all those first downs brought to you by Franklin Financial. Here's a look at the Smith first down run.
Boy, nice cut up inside and got ahead of steam. Took 4 to bring him down in the secondary, and contact made there by Armani Weaver.
Snap to Loftus again. Loftus, remember, doesn't mind to go to the skies. He's getting backside pressure, though, is able to escape it and hit his man inside the 40-yard line. Catch made by Ken Littlejohn. Yes, Littlejohn and Smith are the dynamic duo out of the backfield for Gaffney, but Littlejohn showing you he's also a pretty good pass receiver. Look at this on the money from Loftus.
Yeah, give Loftus credit. 6'4", 210 junior, the transfer from Blue Ridge, and know that he can throw the football. A year ago, 291 yards passing per game, and he bought time, almost got caught from behind, maintained that composure, and then, boy, he had to lay it right on the line for the catch and able to complete it.
No trouble planting the feet, no trouble getting stopped and making the catch, and that's a really good sign on what's been a week of rain and difficulty turf-wise, something we'll get into. This is going to be flagged at the 40-yard line, right back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. While they sort this penalty out, Tom, you and I both incredibly impressed when we walked the turf pregame. It has rained in the Carolinas almost constantly this week.
Yes.
And somehow you walk on the turf here at Dorman. The job they have done to ready this playing surface is second to none. You walk on the turf, it's hard to know it has even been affected in any way.
Probably 4 or 5 inches of rain, if not more. And when you and I got there today, we walked down there, and I'm very definitely impressed with those that have gotten this into tremendous playing conditions. Let me get a look here.
One of the premier venues in any case. This is a block in the back against the Indians, and you see it there as the flag comes in. Going to back Gaffney up to the 49-yard line. They'll need the 30 of Dorman for a first down. This brief pause here is simply to reset the play clock. What did Dan Jones say? He said, I was prepared to bring my guys over in swimmies. And not necessary tonight. As the Dorman Cavaliers having done such a fine job. Always one of our favorite places to come. And just treated so nicely here. And Dorman not treating the visitors nicely tonight. Offensively, a touchdown a moment ago. Defensively, a touchdown here. Armani Weaver, who's a wide receiver and a DB. He's only a freshman, and he has Dorman's first defensive touchdown of the night as the Cavs are poised to double the lead.
Well, I tell you, read that beautifully. You'll get another good look at it here. Just quick toss out on the edge, and boy, beautifully done. Does he look like a wide receiver? Great hands, and then forget about it as he takes the distance for the touchdown.
Don't always see those kind of hands from a DB unless you're playing Ironman football. 45 yards to the house with the pick 6 for Armani Weaver. And Dorman with that extra point true has made it 14-0. So a couple of touches for Gaffney, a couple of touchdowns for the Cavaliers. Dorman off to a fast start at home in the rivalry game. Well, a Bojangles night here in the upstate of South Carolina, and it's always bow time. You know that when high school football is happening. We remind you to try the new Bo's Chicken Sandwich. It's so hand-breaded, so bold seasoned, and big league crunchy. It's going to make you say, that's so good. Try the new chicken sandwich at Bojangles for just $3.99, and you can only get it at Bojangles, where it's always bow time. Well, Tom, another touchdown for Dorman. This one, the pick, returned the distance to double the Cavaliers' pleasure tonight.
It'll play action there, quickly out of the edge. Tremendous coaching, prepared for that particular play, jumped it, made the catch, and took the distance for touchdown. Boy, two really big plays early for Dorman, and something that Gaffney has not faced much at all this year. Team that comes at averaging 36.8, the least they've scored this year, with 31 points in game one against Spartanburg. And the only game that was relatively close was the 38-35 win that they had over Collegiate, and that was the game that was a 17-point lead in the fourth.
And Gaffney to get the football back, having to try to shake that off pretty quickly. And before the return can take place, the touchback called for. And the Indians will start where they have each of their first three drives. Well, in recent years, you want to talk about what's happened this season and what may happen this season, and that's going to be a great deal of our conversation tonight. But you look out there and see these two colors, and especially here at this location, Tom, twice in recent memory they have played for the right to go to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia and compete for the state championship, and those games coming down to the final few possessions here and there. So this is maybe a vision of things to come again here tonight.
Somewhat of a rarity between these two teams. So we'll see what Gaffney can do, and, positive play right there.
Gaffney going back to Tyler Smith on the ground. He gets a handful, second down and about 4 coming. So when we say at the outset here, you could be looking at a preview of things to come on into the month of November, somewhere around Thanksgiving. Very easily could be, with much more on the line. And tonight, a couple of players on each side maybe being held back just a little bit. That might be hard for you to imagine in this rivalry game. But Coach Gutshaw said it this way: it may not be what we want to do, but it's a smart thing to do, because the region games they play next week are the ones that will determine their fate playoff-wise. So you may not see both these teams full song tonight, but you are going to see both these teams fully engaged tonight, trying to pick up a rivalry win.
Yeah, it is a non-region game, and we think so much about what it was 2 years ago, and the Gaffneys, the Boiling Springs, and the way it was then, but it's changed in realignment.
Yeah, Gaffney down in that more eastern region here in the state right now, and after a very positive game for the Indians, the response is there for Dorman as they blow up this first down effort. Cavaliers able to get Zy Pinson in there to break it up this time.
Yeah, big guy in the middle, great penetration up front. And it's a Dorman team that's gotten better as the season has gone on. Did lose at 20-7 to Clover. That's the only win the Clover's had this year. Beat Boiling Springs. It lost to Fort Dorchester 38-28, and since then it's won a couple of back-to-back.
Now looking deep again, far side in front of that Gaffney bench, and just off the outstretched arms of his intended target and incomplete. Looks like there may be, as Gaffney tried to make the connection with Deshaun Corey over there, a Dorman player a bit shaken up at around the 32-yard line. And a training staff for the Cavaliers rushing across to the other side of the field as you see Corey there. But there is a player down at the 32. And one of those Dorman defenders being seen to as we speak. And he's holding that left shoulder. That's never a good sign, Tom.
Yeah, stride for stride down the far sideline and went down hard and landed on it. And taking a look at it right now.
We'll break away, come back and check on the status of the Dorman defender after the break. Ladrico McCullough up under his own power now. He is being helped with that left arm. And, Tom, you see him holding that shoulder, and that's not what you want to see at any point for this young man. But he hit the ground pretty hard at the end of this play.
Yeah, going long again. We've seen him take some shots downfield and just out of the reach. And as he landed, right on that left shoulder there, somewhat awkwardly, and
extended that just a little bit, and you could tell when he rolled over immediately, hopefully not as bad as it initially looks. And Gaffney setting it up underneath as they go to Jeffries, and Jeffries is up across the 30 to the 34. He's almost back to the original line of scrimmage on this drive, but the punting unit for the Indians will be back out once again. Gaffney and Dorman tonight, a pleasure to have you with us here on Bojangles Friday Night Rivals. Dorman having played 67 games against Gaffney over the years, the most games against any one opponent in school history for Dorman. Spartanburg, 66, if you're wondering, their crosstown rival. This punt, fair caught at the 30-yard line, and it's been quite a rivalry, Tom, as Dorman gets set to take over again after the Gaffney punt. Now, there is a flag down on the 34 that we're going to have to sort out to see if this punt, in fact, stands, or if Gaffney's going to be forced to kick it again. But while they sort this out, you think about this rivalry. And yes, Gaffney-Spartanburg was an old-time rivalry. Yes, Dorman-Spartanburg is a crosstown rivalry. But the length with which this one has existed, dating back to the old reservation and old John L. Martin Stadium, where the ball is now here in Spartanburg, where David Gutshaw got his start as a Dorman Cavalier. It spans the ages, and so many pivotal football games in state playoff competition have come down to these two.
Well, it goes through this part of the state. If you're going to have an opportunity to play for state championships, you know Gaffney's history with the 17 state championships. The last one they won was in 2012. They got beat in 2011 by Burns. And then you flip it over to Dorman's side. They won in 2000. They won 2009.
Yes.
They have been, maybe it's just an odd year, 15, 17, 19. They've lost in championship games. But the last two were to Dutch Fork, who's won 5 consecutive.
Last team to beat Dutch Fork in that kind of stage was the Gaffney Indians.
Yeah, that's right.
And the last team to beat Dutch Fork in the playoffs was the Dorman Cavaliers. So you're looking at the two that would like to take another shot at the Silver Foxes, who have become the class of the field in 5A in South Carolina. In fact, they've won every 5A championship as that classification just came on board a few years ago. Well, you thought it might be a good time to have that conversation because it's taken a while to sort this penalty out, and now explanations are going to be rendered to both Coach Gutshaw and Coach Jones. And when all is said and done, the punt will stand, and Dorman will have the football after the fair catch.
Those two games that Dutch Fork beat Dorman,
classics,
17-19, you broadcast them for Sinclair, came down to a 2-point try to fade, right?
Yep, had a 2-point try. Dorman just completely gassed at the end of things, out of energy, decided to try to win it with a 2-point conversion and came up about a yard shy. And then the fade route for Dutch Fork, the memory of the most recent of the two battles that were just instant classic between those two at Williams-Brice Stadium.
When it started for Dutch Fork, they beat Boiling Springs 28-21, and 2 other wins in their 5 straight had been over T.L. Hanna, including last year 28-6.
Right after Gaffney won number 16 or 17, whichever way you go with that based upon who you talk to. This is tossed out to the 30 and up across the 40-yard line. Dorman playing well early tonight, and one of the reasons the effectiveness of DJ Porter and now Kendall Norman offensively. There you see Porter and Norman together, and with the absence of Tyson Rogers tonight, it's going to be those two. And, Tom, if they remain this good, it's going to be a long night for Gaffney.
Well, those two are good to have. And after we saw the 41-yard run for a touchdown by Foster, that sets up inside, and then you flip it out of the flat. Tremendous job downfield. Porter was trying to block, and he didn't block in the back or hold or anything like that. So, overall, well done by Dorman. Big play.
28 yards for the First Franklin Financial first down, and here is another flag. And this one going to go against Dorman. That's the one thing. Coach Gutshaw and his staff can look up at the scoreboard and see a 14-point lead and the fact that they're still moving the football, but you know every time the yellow flag comes out of that gentleman's pocket and they see his hand raised, the blood pressure goes just a little bit higher on that Dorman sideline. Now, this one's going to go against Gaffney, so it works out this go-round, the first few flags against those Cavaliers. So that'll take the pressure down a little bit, and Dorman marches a little further into Gaffney territory at the 33 as this is assessed to the Indians. Again, it is first down Dorman, and this is going to stay right between the hashes down around the 32 is about all.
Okay, that's the same play they ran for the touchdown, and this time played exceptionally well, including by Rayshon Littlejohn, one of the junior linebackers. They really like those guys, Bullock, Littlejohn, Daddle, and Wade in the linebacking core.
You mentioned that common opponent that they had this year, Bowling Springs. You mentioned them in terms of what happened in that Dutch Fork contest a few years ago. Dorman 33-0 on August 27th. Gaffney 34-0 last Friday. Try to figure something out about these teams being anything but even from that. Sweeping far side is Norman, and he is going to be upended. So Gaffney, a nice open field tackle for the Indians to snuff this out.
And that was, again, the strong safety, Eddie Tate McDowell at 5'10", 180, a senior. So he made one up inside a moment ago, then his speed able to get him to the outside and make a tackle, bring up third down.
And when you look at the season, and we're trying to get some of this in as they roll here just ahead of the third down play, Gaffney 2-0 against Dorman's region. They've already beaten Burns 45-15 and Spartanburg 31-12. That's the game we had on our air. So they may not be in Region 2 5A any longer, but they still play a very Region 2 5A flavored schedule to the Indians. This tossed out, and speaking of that, it's in and then out of the hands of DJ Porter, incomplete. So fourth down now. And Dorman at the 32-yard line facing a fourth down as you get another look at the incomplete pass.
The freshman King Dowdle coming up there, and just you got to catch it and just got a little bit ahead of himself there. And I mean, you just need to get settled in here if you're the Gaffney Indians. You've been hit across the mouth there early on with 2 big plays. See what happens here.
And again, Hudson Talley going to share time with Bomar. You see Talley out there right now. He's joined by Foster, who had the 40-plus yard touchdown run for Dorman's lone offensive touchdown of the game. Going to send this Norman's direction, and Gaffney having none of it. Stopped by King Dowdle once again. Dowdle getting the call in the absence of Bradley, and he has risen to the occasion tonight.
Tell you, that is an outstanding defensive play and stand. Couldn't get the block and able to fight off the blocker there and make it to the open field on a guy that if he can get a step or two can do something with it. So nicely done, kind of settle back in a bit.
What can you say about the brothers Dowdle? King Dowdle, J.D. Dowdle, whose name we've called on our air from time to time. And, of course, you want to look at family connections. Rico Dowdle came from that Gaffney area, ended up playing at the next level on Saturdays after spending the balance of his career in Western North Carolina on our air at Reynolds. And then you look at this Gaffney team tonight, a couple of key members, key brothers, J.D. Dowdle, King Dowdle already making their presence known. Can this Gaffney offense get anything going against the Dorman D already with a pick 6 tonight? Going to come near side, Ken Littlejohn keeps the wheels churning across the 45 to the 46. And it's close to first down yardage. Looks like he has enough, and it will be. Chain Crew's going to get it moved, and let's not go any deeper into this one tonight, Tom Van Hoy, without mentioning that the Dorman Chain Crew has been honored as the Chain Crew of the Week in the state of South Carolina. And we'll get their names in for the good work they do, some of the unsung heroes on Friday nights like this, making sure you can enjoy your high school football. First things first, Loftus tucks this and slides down after a gain of about 7. Here's your Chain Crew being recognized in pregame tonight. Joey Hornick, Kevin Horace, Edgar Paget, Mike Hayes, Jeremy Smith, David Madison. They're all wearing those bright yellow vests and carrying the chains on the far side, and we certainly appreciate all they do on a night like this. You can see them on the heart of your screen. Great work by our crew to show them to you at a prime moment, and they are brought to you pregame tonight as the Chain Crew of the Week in the entire state of South Carolina.
I talked to a couple of them before the ball game, and I tell you, wherever we go, they're legendary folks that run the chains. And what do you get if you're the Chain Gang of the Week? I don't know.
A little bit of recognition for sure that is well deserved each and every week, but rarely comes unless it's one of those jobs that unless a mistake is made, you rarely notice that they're there, and yet more often than not, they've got it exactly right. And thanks to all the chain crews across the state, and certainly the ones honored this week here at Dorman. The Dorman defensive line stealing the spotlight right now, though, and leading them to the charge is Charles Smith this go-round, as it will back Gaffney up to what was the original line of scrimmage on this set of downs. Going to be 3rd down and 10 for the Indians from the 46.
This is a Gaffney team that averages 201.5 yards rushing per game, 6 yards per carry, 22 on the ground. And so far, pretty good job of bottling up that running game.
May very well be the final play of the first period. Gaffney to the air, so there's time for another if this is not completed. Jump ball intercepted. It's Weaver again back there wearing that jersey number 8 for Dorman. He tries to weave through traffic once more. Remember, he jumped the route earlier in the contest and turned it into a pick 6. Here, he wins the jump ball, and in doing so has taken it back for Dorman. And 43 yards later, the period comes to a close on this turnover.
Hey, it was outstanding play, leaping, cutting in front, and then able to come up with it. And then after he makes the catch, he definitely knows what to do. They got some blocking out front and up the sideline for a big game.
Now, bad news as you look back at the 33-yard line, and there is a flag down back behind all the activity that was taking place on that return. So we'll see where this goes. Going to be holding against Gaffney. So no worries on the flag at the 33 after all, and another key moment for Armani Weaver, the freshman, again listed on the roster, jersey number 8, freshman, 5'9", 165, Tom, and he's playing far bigger than that tonight.
Tell you what, the Dorman defense getting the turnovers. We talked about one of the keys to the game was for Gaffney was their turnover margin at plus 12 coming in. It only turned it over 2 times, and 2 of them here in the ball game early on in the first several possessions.
So Dorman back to work offensively and working his way into the heart of this Gaffney defense with a little bit of a step here, step there is Foster. Foster with the touchdown run earlier. Boy, you think about the work that Foster has done in the first quarter. You look at the Dorman defense led by the freshman Weaver, and you add it all up. It's 14-0 Dorman after 1. Well, you never want to let game night dinner get you stressed. Stop by Ingles. Great choices from the Ingles Deli, rotisserie chicken, fresh-made salads, a delicious hot and sub bar. It's dinner and a snap, and then off to the game. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings. Kudos to those who have braved the elements to be here tonight for this rivalry matchup between Dorman and Gaffney. Cavaliers, after one period of action, having outgained the Indians to this juncture to the tune of 65 yards of total offense, only 55 for the Indians, but the work's been done on defense as well, and Dorman has a 14-0 lead. Trying to add to it here, quickly into action in the second period and down around the 12-yard line as Dorman keeps it on the ground. And, boy, so many different weapons that Dorman can use. There is Bomar now. You said you're going to see the combo of Bomar and Talley. And Bomar as they get close. You know, Dorman has always used somewhat of what fans may call a wildcat package. They've always called it Gator. It's something they have used along the way, but they've never run a true two-quarterback system. That's what Bomar has given them. He's another of the youngsters, underclassmen making his mark. And he is tripped up here as Gaffney's able to get Landon Bullock in there. Tom, Coach Gutshaw said 16 underclassmen starting. Of course, he's one of them. He said it's the youngest team I've ever had. But with that kind of young talent, don't think he minds too much.
I mean, it is still a very young team. You know, we were talking about that offensive line and how big it is up front. Every single one of them is a junior. And you're talking about young man in the quarterback now as a freshman and getting his opportunity to play here tonight, and coming off of 7 carries, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns against Riverside.
Don't sleep on him, though. Does have a strong arm. Came over to Dorman as a passer. Came into the system as somebody they thought because of his arm was going to be a difference maker, and instead he has shined with the wheels to this point, and he does so again here, keeping it inside the 5-yard line. Now, third down coming from the 4, but you talk about those previous battles, about that Upper State Championship game in which Gaffney was trying to go into this end zone and Dorman stopped them to make the trip to Columbia just a few years ago. Is Dorman trying to go in? Hillside of the field now in the early stages of the second quarter, and the young Mr. Bomar will find no real estate this time. Gaffney able to get J.D. Dowdle into the backfield to make the stop.
Yeah, good job funneling back inside where there was help. If he gets out of the perimeter, he may be able to take it in, but a good job there defensively.
Another thing we should say before you go too deep into this thing, boy, so much respect between these two coaching staffs, these two programs, for the pride and tradition that they both bring to the table. And a lot of friends, shared a lot of laughs, shared a lot of battles over the years. Locked into another one right here. Dorman trying to really take command, though. As Bomar directs traffic behind him. Trying to get Foster lined up. Going to give to Foster, who had a head of steam, but Gaffney may have knocked the football out. And they're coming out of there with it. As fourth down stop has given the football to the Indians. And a turnover on downs in this same end zone, where, as I mentioned a few years ago, Dorman's defense stiffened its neck. It's the Gaffney D here. When they had to have it, Tom, the turnover on downs, because it was about to be 21-0 perhaps.
14-0, and then you made the tackle on Bomar on the third down, and then Clay Putnam, the 6'4", 240-pound sophomore nose tackle, made initial contact, and then the Cavalry arrived at that point. But huge play in this ball game because he's 14-0, and it very easily could have gone up from there.
Latest of the big moments in these battles between Gaffney and Dorman, but the Indians now on the shadow of their own goal line will go to work. Going to keep it in the hands of Tyler Smith, who gets out near the 10. Y'all circle that one and tuck it away, because instead of it being 21-0 potentially Dorman, can Gaffney flip the script a bit here with a lot of time left in the first half of action, and now the football in their hands after their defense able to just come up with the stop of the night thus far. Looking to the skies is Loftus. Loftus got a man wide open. I mean, there's nobody within 10 yards of Deshaun Corey, and he is going to take that home. 90-plus yards for a Gaffney TD. And just like that, the Indians keep Dorman off the board.
Wow.
In an instant, Gaffney, for the first time, is on the board. I mean, he's standing almost on his own goal line when he turns this loose, and Loftus connects with a wide-open Deshaun Corey.
Yeah, something break that at the secondary, but also give that offensive line credit. He had plenty of time to throw the football, and maybe one of the toughest things to do is to catch the ball when you're so wide open like that. Boy, how about flipping the script in a couple of plays here?
You want to talk about a pair of bang-bang moments that will completely change the complexion of a football game. Gaffney just showed them to you, and the Indians, instead of being down 3 scores, now very much in it on the road at Dorman. Classic for you, Bruin, perhaps. Hang with us. More Friday Night Rivals after this. Well, a good one brewing here at Dorman High School between the Indians and the Cavaliers, and you know what that means. Friday night football, it's Bo time. Try the new Bo's Chicken Sandwich, just $3.99 only at Bojangles. It's hand-breaded, bold seasoned, big league crunchy, and it's brought to you by Bojangles, where it's always Bo time.
You want big plays, Jason?
Well, we got big plays. Well, you talk about stringing a couple of plays together. Dorman did it offensively with the 40-plus yard touchdown run and then the 40-plus yard pick six. Gaffney did it with a defensive stop on 4th down, followed by a 90-yard touchdown connection to Deshaun Corey from Grayson Loftus. A couple of big plays on both sides, and it's 14-7.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's interesting, entertaining, and great for us to broadcast, drive you nuts as a coach sometime. And, you tell your players, next play, boy, the defensive stop set up the opportunity, and we got us a game at 14-7 at 8:49.
If you thought the Cavaliers were poised to run away with it tonight, everything changed on that early second period opportunity for Gaffney. And here is Norman. He's a dangerous return man, but he's going to be met at the 20. And that is where the Cavaliers will take over. Boy, you can just see the spring in the step of the Gaffney Indians right now.
I tell you again, that's Eddie Tate McDowell on special teams. We've seen him from that strong safety standpoint make a couple of really good tackles as well. This is a really good Gaffney defense. They allow 11.3, but if a takeout can't do it, 35 against Great Collegiate, they're averaging only allowing 9.3. So we've talked about 30-plus on offense, but they've been really good on defense as well, off of the 6-0 start, ranked number 3 in 5A.
A very athletic, very talented Great Collegiate team at the 2A ranks, yes, but they've certainly made their mark across all sports in South Carolina. 18 yards on the return, and so to work the Cavaliers. Talk about open real estate. Here's some. And like he was shot out of a cannon, Foster is into Gaffney territory, reverses Fields at around the 30, and will finally be brought down at the 9-yard line. Mr. Foster with a TD on the day and maybe an even better run right here.
Wow, watch this, and with the blocking downfield as well, and wide open. He's got that outstanding speed, and then cuts back, and a couple of different moves there. And on the 45-degree angle, they might get a tremendous game right back at you.
Use every bit of the field, young man. Foster, 69 yards later, has Dorman. Wait a minute, weren't they just right here, Tom?
I think they were.
Seems like Dorman was right here inside the 10-yard line a moment ago, and Foster has them right back with a 1st and goal. This is going to be on the ground and right up the seam and into the end zone for Dorman. is Will Black. Well, you wondered at what point you might see Will Black. One of the key standouts for Dorman last year. He's been a little banged up in the early part of the season. Coach Gutshaw told us we will use Will Black sparingly tonight. We want him to be ready for region next week against Burns. That's what really matters. But we will pick our spots, let him take a lick or two, because he needs to be ready to go next week. Well, the lick he took was after he made his way into the end zone. A touchdown for Will Black, and Dorman does have that third score they were in search of. 8 and change to go, and a wild one in Spartanburg. 21-7 Cavaliers. Fourth game in a row for the Cavaliers against a team ranked in the top 10 in state class 5A. And Gaffney, the only team that Dorman High School has played in football every year since the school opened in 1964. That'll give you some moments to remember. We just had another, Dorman's third touchdown. 31.4 points per game for Dorman. That's what they've been scoring. They have 21 on the board right now, and that one happened in the blink of an eye, Tom.
Yeah, we mentioned a moment ago that this is a Gaffney team that's only given up 11.3 per ball game. How about back-to-back two-play drives for touchdowns, respective teams, in under 50 seconds?
And with that run, Foster now a 100-plus yard rusher. He has 122 on 7 carries for Dorman. And here's the return for Gaffney. Up across the 30-yard line is Tyler Smith, and he's going to be rushed out of bounds shy of midfield after a 30-yard return. Again, Foster, 7 carries, 122 yards. He has a touchdown. Will Black, good to see for Dorman that Black is back, and he's in the end zone with the second Dorman rushing touchdown of the night. And you put the pick six alongside of it, the Cavaliers have a 2-score advantage. As Grayson Loftus, who just threw a 90-yard touchdown pass a moment ago, comes back out facing that 2-score deficit again.
You know, the one thing that we have seen, though, we did the first game of the year was Gaffney and Spartanburg, and some people forget that was a 17-12 game into the fourth quarter with 8:47 to go. But Loftus just kind of settling in, transferred from Blue Ridge. It didn't go deep much in that game, but we've seen him air it out here this evening.
And when you have a couple of backs like Littlejohn and Smith, and Loftus can keep defenses honest with the arm, easy to see why this Gaffney team itself is averaging right around 37 points per game, giving up only 13, and is ranked in the state and unbeaten coming into tonight. But they have certainly, and I think they probably expected to be anytime you're playing Dorman, been punched in the mouth early in this one, Tom.
Well, they have, and we'll see how they do respond, and got it within a touchdown before it was Dorman able to come back. So this becomes an important drive midway through the second quarter.
The stand's filling up a little more as we get deeper into this, and the rain finally turns the faucet off. Here is Smith. He's heating up, and a flag is down at the 45, though Smith is loose down the far side. It would be 6 for Gaffney, but again, on the 45-yard line, a flag down in the holding area. Now, it's a 62-yard run for Tyler Smith, but the body language indicates this may very well be coming back.
You were talking about Smith and that Spartanburg game, 20 carries, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and then Littlejohn also had that 41-yard touchdown run after it became 17-12. He was at 122 in that game that night.
On offense.
It is holding against the Indians.
3.2 seconds.
So it negates the 60-plus yard touchdown run. That would have been something, a 90-plus yard touchdown pass, a 60-plus yard touchdown run in consecutive drives. Instead, Gaffney will have to set up shop at the 35 following the penalty walked off from the spot of the foul. going to be 2nd and 11 once they sort it out for Gaffney. Well, you get the sense this could be a track meet before all is said and done. Never know, but the capability is there for both these teams to put some major points on the board. And with footing a lot better than it used to be on nights like this, because of the drainage here and this fine facility at Dorman, it looks like there are no ill effects from the weather this week or anything else that's going to keep these two teams from playing at optimal level.
I'll tell you, I'm really surprised at that. As much as it has rained in the upstate of South Carolina, you know, Coach Gutschall telling us they didn't practice here, obviously. They've got practice field. They said it's like a swamp over there.
So they're underwater, right?
To practice this week. So it is remarkable what the staff and the crew that take care of the field have been able to do, because I thought the big guys get out there that we're going to see some clumps come up, some other things like that, and so far we haven't seen any of that tonight, and it's just kudos to those involved in that particular category.
Dan Jones and the Indians taking a timeout here. High praise for that Gaffney staff from Coach Gutschall. Another thing you have to mention with Dorman, we talk about the chain crew, we talk about the job Flint Harrell does here and his entire administrative staff. We met the principal, the superintendent earlier. It is a full team effort, and they do it first class here at Dorman, every piece of the puzzle. But they also have kept this coaching staff intact. Coach Gutschall has the same exact coaching staff he had a year ago. No turnover on his staff, a number of players that played underneath him. I think he's got 4 of them that were former players along the way. That consistency, and it's true of both Dorman and Gaffney, the consistency they keep on the staffs, one of the main reasons for their constant success. In behind the defense, and that was going to be a spectacular catch had the one-handed effort been reeled in by Ken Littlejohn, but he could not quite hang on.
Loftus does a really good job, and, you know, nice touch pass, and he got it there. I mean, it would have been an outstanding catch as well, but rolling to his left, off to the side, little touch pass there, would have been a great catch if he made it, but nice job to even try to get it to Jennifer Stitt to have a chance to get that kind of gain.
3rd down for Gaffney. From the 35, again, they need the 46-yard line to move the chains. All kind of real estate out here. Is he able to stay in bounds? The answer is yes. And up near midfield with a first down. A first Franklin movement of the chains as Gaffney gets it to Jadarius Littlejohn. And now we got a flag that comes in at the end of this at around the 44. And you see the Dorman sideline a little bit frustrated after the 15-yard connection that keeps the drive alive for Gaffney. Our officials going to huddle up once more. Remember, it was those at the end of play penalties that probably gave more grief to this Dorman sideline than anything they experienced a week ago, and here's another of them.
Personal foul on the defense. 15-yard. First down.
Another personal foul being walked off at the end of this thing, and here is what happened. At least the extracurricular portion once the play was done. And there's where the flag comes in. So march it off, Tom. 36-yard line, first down, Gaffney. Trying to answer the Dorman score just a moment ago. All kind of room on the far side, but seeing a couple of blue hats coming at him. Loftus tries to get the maximum of what's available to him on that right hash, and he gets down to the 36-yard line. Yeah, talking about these staffs, though, Coach Jones, the last to win a state title at Gaffney, he's still over there on that sideline. And Dave Gutschall's been doing it for how long now here at Dorman?
29 years and 43 total.
When you go back to the Mayadan days and the North Carolina days in Burlington, I mean, it has been a consistent scenario for Dan Jones on that sideline. You see him there, and certainly for Coach Gutschall across both Carolinas and across 4 decades. And there's Loftus. There's Corey again. He's got the catch at the 10, and he's going to be down there with a first and goal for Gaffney. Corey, who had the long touchdown reception. Isn't that a Gaffney name? You think about the basketball impact over the years, another of those. It's a great thing about calling the Gaffneys and the Dormans. You get these sons and grandsons and cousins and nephews of those traditional, powerful names at these places. Here's Corey with the reception at the 10.
Able to rise and get it. 6'1", 205. A junior came in with 8 catches, averaging almost 22 yards per catch coming into the game. So we have seen Loftus really air it out tonight has seen his development throughout the course of the year and what he provides in that aspect of the game.
27 yards on this connection down to the 10-yard line. We do have a Dorman player a little shaken up at around the 14. The training staff tending to him. We'll take a break at the 6-minute mark, second quarter. Gaffney driving in a 2-score game. There are 4 Class 5A teams undefeated entering play tonight. The reigning champs, Dutch Fork, Fort Dorchester out of the lower part of the state, and that T.L. Hanna squad we had earlier this year. And the team marching toward the goal line here. The Gaffney Indians setting up first and goal from the 9. Unbeaten thus far, but trailing the Dorman Cavaliers by a pair of scores midway point of the second period. This is going to stay on the ground for Gaffney, and there is Little John. He's trying for the end zone, and he has it. Ken Littlejohn into pay dirt for Gaffney, and it makes it a 1-possession football game again on a 9-yard carry for the Gaffney back.
I'll tell you what, keep it on the ground. Let him read the keys. The guys up front, the big guys get it blocked, and then he cuts back inside. And look at that power at the end because he runs into the safety, Cam Meadows, who's an outstanding player at 6'2", his momentum into the end zone. We got us a game.
Well, we got an extra point coming for A.J. Haynes, which is true. That strong left foot putting it right up through the uprights, 21-14. About what you thought tonight as you close in on halftime here, 5 minutes, 43 seconds left to take for a spin for these two teams, and they're locked into one that is far from settled on this night. Looks as if, as well, Tom, the skies have cleared to the point that now we're going to be able to just settle in, kind of not worry about any more weather, knock on every piece of wood around, and enjoy some football between these two. You think about how much technology has advanced in this sport over the years, and we see it incrementally one season to the next, but to have those big screens, to be able to draw up what just happened, review what just took place, and make in-game adjustments, a luxury for these young athletes.
I'm just impressed they have a tent. You got
to have it on a night like that.
Remember back in the day, I mean, it was really, cutting edge when you had a Polaroid camera down there and you take a picture and you have to wave it to dry it to even look at the defensive alignments.
That was instant, right?
That was
instant adjustment.
You got to be like X number of years of age to understand that comment, but if you are, you can appreciate it.
Well, it certainly has come to just a remarkable place when you think about what they can do, the immediacy of what they can do in these environments now.
Oh, these are two teams that know how to win. I mean, it was 14-0. Really got hitting chops to begin things. The Gaffney Indians, they were able to get the big play. They were able to get stopped on 4th down, and Dorman came right back with a 2-play drive themselves. So this one's setting up maybe as an instant classic.
Well, think about the big plays for Gaffney in this contest now. That touchdown you just saw a moment ago, the 90-yard touchdown connection to Corey before the big pass down his direction that set up the touchdown here. It's been a game that has been marked by the big play, Tom. 23, 90, 27, and 17 the last time, and in terms of that Tyler Smith rush that you saw along the way. So when you're reeling off plays that are gaining you those kind of yards and you're putting up those kind of numbers, you're explosive at any moment.
And there'll be some adjustments made at halftime. On a couple of occasions when in the secondary for Dorman, they've had some breakdowns, and there have been some big plays in that particular aspect of the game as well. So, you know, we still got 5.5 to go.
Yeah, a lot of football left just in this first half of action, and running into Gaffney's defensive second group there this time around. Some of the numbers that we've just been handed, Tom, total offense 237 for Gaffney, 195 for Dorman, and for individuals, Foster 7 touches, 122 yards, a couple of catches for Porter, a couple of catches for Norman, and the touchdowns belonging to Foster and Black. That's what Dorman has done offensively from an individual standpoint. We'll give you some of Gaffney's here in a moment, but first, the second down play. Tally, it's caught across the 40. That's good for about 3 yards on the Dorman reception as Will Black, who scored that touchdown on the ground on the doorstep of the red zone a little bit earlier. Here's some of those Gaffney numbers. 11 touches for Smith, 50 yards. And then, of course, the touchdown scored by Ken Littlejohn, 3 touches, 22 yards. And Loftus had the 90-yard connection with Corey, and then the big connection on that drive. 3 catches, 124 yards for Deshaun Corey. Those are the individual performers from this first half that have really shined. Here's a big third down for Dorman. And being flushed out of the pocket and eventually tripped up from behind by Gaffney's Brayshawn Littlejohn. Littlejohn had 6 tackles out of the gate in this contest. In fact, he's been sitting on 6 tackles for a while, but number 7 is going to be one to remember for Brayshawn Littlejohn.
If he doesn't make that, that's going to be a first down. And the leaping play with the 6'2", 250-pound junior was huge as you get one more look at it. I mean, really wanted to go deep, look left, wasn't there. Good decision, and then able to leap and just get the ankles and bring him down. I mean, in chase and pursuit there as well as Carlos Lopez, the defensive end. Not sure he was going to get it done.
And you think about family connections. Of course, Brayshawn Littlejohn, a relative of Gaffney quarterback Bradshaw Littlejohn, put together one of those big-time Gaffney runs over the years. You think about comparisons. You look at the way these Dorman backs have rushed tonight. You think about against Black, some of those who have made their mark along the way. 35 yards on the punt as the Indians get set to take over after the solid defensive stop. And boy, you look at Dorman on that last offensive possession. You think about DJ Geth out there, one of the anchors on the line, whose dad played at North Carolina for Dean Smith along the way. And it's been a part of this Dorman family through and through. There are just so many strong athletic family connections that come to mind on the field tonight. Question is, who's going to be the hero when all is said and done? We got a long way to go to find that out. We know one of the main heroes is going to be Tim Amos, who's handling the stats. Oliver and his crew continuing to give us the key numbers to keep up with what's happening tonight. This is caught up across the 30 to the 35-yard line, and it's a busy night for statisticians. That much is sure.
Famous Amos, yep, absolutely.
He's at it again.
All the information they provide our way.
And, of course, the great notes packets and whatnot done by Lynn Harrell and his staff and all those here. Boy, Oliver, his family always doing such a nice job just keeping everybody informed in moments like this. Just great work to bring nights like this to fruition. And this one living up to the hype so far. Gaffney going to keep it in the hands of Tyler Smith. And you think about the last couple of contests we've had here on Friday Night Rivals. We had, no, it wasn't a baseball contest, but a 6-5 final last week that came down to the wire. And then the week before that, a team trying to go in and score. Time runs out on them. The last tick happening on the final play of the game. Yeah. And then here tonight, a one-possession contest once again. Certainly rewarding the fans who've been able to hang with us across the course of the season. And we're hopeful. You know, we never have a concern about who's going to come out on top. We just like to see it come down to the last play. And that's our hope again here tonight. This will help make that happen. Gaffney looking to equalize here. All kind of room down the near side. And into the end zone is Tate. The senior wideout, he's at 5'9", 160, used every bit of it. As he is in behind the Dorman defense with this thread of the needle from the quarterback.
Another big pass play, and they found something that works, and maybe a little bit of confusion to a certain extent. We've seen on some big pass plays by Gaffney. They've been able to utilize that and Tell you what, big plays so far and what's been an entertaining ball game here for Dorman.
Jaden Tate. When you talk about the familiar names, the familiar refrains, we continue to call those names on both the Gaffney side and the Dorman side. This punch and counterpunch moment belonging to the Gaffney Indians is Loftus, Fines, Tate, and the rest is done with the yards after the catch in open real estate for young Mr. Tate.
Man, we have seen some big pass plays tonight. We've seen big plays, but when we came in talking about the similarities between these two teams, both teams had average rushing more than 200 yards per game, more than 6 yards per carry. Both of them, ironically, had averaged 152 both per game passing the football at about 350 total, and both scoring more than 30. Well, they're going to reach the 30-point range tonight, and that total yardage continue to climb.
Gaffney averaging 36.8 points coming in. Dorman averaging 31.4 points coming in. To underscore your point, Tom, tonight they have scored 21 apiece and, well, 218. That's plenty, right? To do something with as Dorman is set to get the football back, especially when you consider the first touchdown of the night was scored in 149. The second one was a pick six. The first Gaffney drive, 2 plays, 94 yards, 44 seconds. We had a 47-second score. That lengthy 2:19 drive comes to mind, and then 1:11 the last go-round. And Gaffney able to snuff out this return at around the 20, and that's where Dorman will take over after a 16-yard return. I'm going to give them to you one more time. You got the pick six, but the drives happen in 1:49, 44 seconds, 47 seconds, an eternity, 2 minutes, 19 seconds, and then that 3-play, 76-yard capped off by the Tate pass, 1 minute, 11 seconds. So you think 2:09 is not enough? Plenty of time.
Well, the other thing about it is, if you look back and the one defensive stop, I mean, there have been some, but the 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line, 14-0 ball game, and then got a situation where they punted the football and got it back. Defense may come into play here.
Well, defense just came into play. Clay Putnam came to play, and Putnam is able to circle around the quarterback and slam him to the turf, and that's a big, big play for this Gaffney D. You're right, Tom. You go back to the defensive stop. It went from being potentially 21-0 to remaining 14-7, and it's plays just like this for that Gaffney D as big Clay Putnam gets in there.
Sophomore at 240, the nose tackle. He's been involved here early on. We talked about that offensive line, both how good they have been this year.
Makes it second down and forever, and here comes Putnam again. He's in pursuit. He's not alone. Lopez is with him, and eventually it's going to be a collision between McGill on that sideline over there, and Dorman's Hudson Talley. Talley, yes, he's known for his arm, but he will run the football. And here, Gaffney able to connect on the Dorman QB.
Big time hit over on the far sideline.
And you always have to be careful when the helmets are involved.
Up pretty high.
Always have to be careful when the helmets are involved. But looks as if third down is coming with a minute 23 remaining in the first half from the 21-yard line. Dorman needs the 31. It's 3rd and 10. And that's going to be 10, and then some. Spinning is Foster. He's a 100-yard back plus already tonight, and he just grabbed the latest of the first Franklin first downs for the Cavaliers.
I mean, that's huge. 3rd down and long, and gets a crevice there and able to get up inside before he gets upended there into the secondary.
You know what you love about Foster? Never thinks the run is over. You can see that in his rushing style. And even though he is met here at around the 44-yard line, still turns the body and gets another yard or two after the contact from Eddie Tate McDowell.
I'll tell you, 6'2", 195, and a junior. Impressive looking young man. 64 carries, 506 yards, 6 touchdowns coming in. Averaging 8.8 per carry on the year. We've got some guys with big numbers early on this year.
Second down play. And throwing across his body, just trying to get rid of it. Sells that almost into the front row of the stands here on the Dorman side, does Talley. And the flag is down at the 37-yard line as he tried to airmail that out of trouble. Clock stop of 38 seconds remaining as we await our referee. He will place that out where the ball was thrown, and this is going to be grounding against Dorman to back up the Cavaliers.
There's 2 fouls on the holding. Lead the clock. And to the ground and loss of down.
So it was pick your penalty moment, and the obviously worst of the infractions, the loss of down that comes with the intentional grounding penalty, will be taken to back Dorman up with 38 seconds to go in the half.
That third down conversion on the run by Foster was big. Gaffney, with a couple of timeouts left, might have been able to force a punt and get the ball back before the first half ended.
Bomar in there on 3rd and a mile. Bomar with some room to run. He's going to get out across the 40. Remember, he only needs the 47 or 48-yard line for a first down, and he's into Gaffney territory at the 49. You thought, well, Dorman's going to mail it in and go in for the half, right? They bring Bomar in to rush it, run some time off. No, when they bring Bomar in to rush it, this young man has one thing on his mind, and he just moved the chains for the Cavaliers.
Okay, really good job to kind of tuck in behind there and then cut off, I think it was Gaff up front to be able to provide that chance to get the
Talked
big
about
game.
the Gaff family,
Yeah.
those light blue colors familiar, playing for Dean Smith at North Carolina. And, of course, DJ Gaff doing good work to create the open space. Still just under a half minute to play. Here's some room for Foster again. And Foster's into the interior of Gaffney territory at around the 34-yard line. And the stop of the clock to move the chains may be extended by a Dorman timeout. It will. The Cavaliers want to talk it over. They have found something from nothing on this final drive of the half, Tom.
Tell you what, another huge avenue there to run through, and you can see Foster, he was that close before Eddie Tate McDowell was able to bring him down. A moment ago I was talking about, what, if you get that stop on 3rd down, you put it away, Gaffney might get it back, and all of a sudden you've got big running plays, and you got a chance here.
Well, Carolina Furniture Concepts, you want it, they have it. They have furniture in stock and ready to deliver. You can visit their Arden or Waynesville showrooms, or you can go online anytime at CarolinaFurnitureConcepts.com. Carolina Furniture Concepts, the sponsor of all of our interactions with the coaches tonight. We say a big thank you to both head coach David Gutschall here at Dorman and Coach Dan Jones for the Gaffney Indians. Very gracious with their time this week, tonight, and again at halftime and postgame for whoever comes out on top with the Champions Trophy presentation. But again, you'll hear from one or the other of them, depending upon what happens on this play, going into the half and the other coming out of the locker room. Here's first down for Dorman. 24 seconds for the Cavs to take for a spin. And there's a sit-down route at the 20, and this is going to be out of bounds at the 16, and Dorman in business now. A fresh set of First Financial downs to work with, and 18 seconds still to take for a spin.
A very impressive drive here by Dorman late in the first half. They've got themselves into a position where, at least field goal position, but, with a timeout left, a couple of timeouts left, 18 seconds.
If you doubted us when we said 2:18 was more than enough,
2:09.
Yeah, and Dorman reminding us now that it is plenty of time to get downfield, trying to stiff arm, but that was going to be Buxton not budging there on that Gaffney side of things. Out of bounds, though, and the clock does stop with 14 ticks remaining. One thing for sure, you're at least where you can think about Bennett hinges for the lead if you're Dorman all of a sudden now, regardless of what happens with the time you have on the clock and the ability to stop the clock on this drive. Dorman having put itself in a fine spot. There's the group up on that line. You saw Big Graham Smith there wearing jersey number 73. Anderson, Smith, Gonzalez, Conyers, and Geff, who we've talked some about. They'll make room. They'll make plenty of room. Spinning toward the goal line and down at the 1 is Foster, who's closing in on a couple of hundred in this first half with the way he's running. Foster, with 8 seconds to play, has a Dorman 1st and goal at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, just going to run the football. How about that? You're probably thinking, well, throw it, maybe try to throw it to the end zone to fade or something like that. But, give it up inside to Foster, and he definitely knows what to do with it there. Able to cut it back inside and rolled into the end zone, but called down. We get a timeout.
Did not miss his second touchdown by much. Dorman burns a timeout with 8 seconds to play. It's 1st and goal, but it's more about the time than the downs right now, Tom.
This is an impressive drive here. first half. You kind of chronicled the quickness and the length of some of the touchdown plays and drives, and they've been quick ones today. This one has been relatively methodical in the final 2 minutes.
It's still a quick drive when you look at game action. It's going to be 2 minutes and change. Now, they use the timeouts to extend that, and the distance on the march as opposed to the one big play speaks to your point, Tom, that it has been a little more incremental for Dorman, showing that they can drive. That's a term we've used on 42nd and 50-second drive. They can drive down the field. They've done that using the timeouts wisely. Now it's a matter of can they get the full 7 out of this trip down the field.
So many playmakers on both sides tonight, and I think it's eventually going to come down to defense and can you get some stops at certain times. But it's been an entertaining first half, no question about that.
Late first half chance for the Dorman Cavaliers to reclaim the lead. Dorman is led by a couple of touchdowns a couple of times in this first half. You see the Gaffney coaching staff imploring its defense to rise up. Dorman turns to Will Black once again, and he finds the end zone once again. The Cavaliers reestablish the lead in the closing seconds of the first half behind Will Black.
Yeah, I think the direct snap there, going to take it in and score with 4 seconds to go in the first half. Very impressive drive to retake the lead in this ballgame just before half.
Looks a little more like that Gator package that the Cavaliers use time and time again when they're in close yardage situations. Well, Bennett Hinges simply has to put a left foot into it. A couple of left-footed kickers tonight. That's impressive to see. Just having to put a left foot into it for the extra point instead of the late first half field goal. Dorman fans pleased with a 28-21 lead. As you see, Will Black take it home for the Cavs.
You know, we have done Dorman so many times over the years, and I think the first one I remember, and you and I have been doing the broadcast for 8 years here, was at a conference, and got in that formation, Gata, Wildcat, whatever.
They call it Gator, and you think about this, Tom, it's been the names on the back of the jerseys changed, but somebody's been able to run that effectively for one of the great offensive masterminds in the history of this state, Coach David Gutschall, year in and year out.
I mean, the thing about Coach Gutschall, and we talk with a lot of people, is that he's not afraid to change philosophically to a certain extent what he wants to do offensively if this works for his personnel. A lot of people are kind of married to certain things, and that's why he's been so successful over the years.
One of the admirable things, you see the members of his staff there. There's Coach Gutschall. He has been as good as anyone adjusting to his personnel, whatever pieces he has. Ask him this week, Coach, 2-quarterback system, is that something you ever thought you'd do? He said, no, I don't like it. I didn't want to do it. But I saw what one did in the rushing game. I saw what the other does in the passing game, and you can't deny the results, and so I'm enjoying it. And that's the thing. Not only is he willing to adjust, but he enjoys schematically the game of football. And when you ask him, how much longer are you going to continue to do this? And we do that every year. As he's 4 decades plus into it now, he said, as long as I keep enjoying it like I do right now. We're going to get to hear the thoughts of the Dorman head coach, his team having just powered back ahead in the final seconds of the first half. That return for Gaffney brings the half to a close, and it will be interesting to have his legendary take on what is another memorable and competitive half of football between these two teams. Your takeaways, Tom?
Well, how about 5 touchdowns in the second quarter and big plays tonight? And we'll go back through it and recap 28-21, but I think you're going to go back to that stop on 4th down and 1 where it was 14-0. Gaffney got it to make it an opportunity to keep it going.
And it turned it into a touchdown offensively with a 90-yard connection that changed it. Coach Gutschall's team with the drive of the first half to close things down, and he's now standing by with Nelson.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Coach, you guys had an explosive first half. 4 touchdowns. You had 2 interceptions, including 1 beautiful pick 6. How are you feeling right now?
Well, you know, it's a wild game. It seems like every time we play Gaffney, it's up and down the field. I like to see the game settled, but if you got to lead at halftime, obviously you feel good about it.
Obviously so. What's going to be the message to the boys in the locker room, though?
Oh, we got to finish. I mean, there's no doubt. Gaffney's a class team. They're ranked number 3 in the state. They're going to come back out and give it everything they got. We got to finish.
All right. Good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
Back to you, Tom. Back to you, Jason.
Has been in enough of these, he knows it's far from over. The Indians are in town. It's Gaffney and Dorman, and the latest edition has given us an entertaining first half of action.
Hey everybody, this is Friday Night Rivals. I'm Nelson West. Hey everybody, this is Friday Night Rivals. I'm Nelson Weston, and I'm ready for some 2021 high school football. And who better to join me than my good friend, Melissa Level.
Who is always ready for football.
She's always ready for football, ladies and gentlemen. Melissa, we're ready for football, but guess what? Football is not the only thing that's in session right now. School is also back in session. Tell us all about that famous Tools for Schools program.
So important, and whatever we do for schools is how we wrap around that. It is our famous Tools for School program. You go into your Ingles Market, get your Ingles Advantage card, which will save a lot of money.
Indeed.
Okay, and then you link it to the school of your choice. Every time you shop, you use that card, and it goes right back to the school of your choice. It's a wonderful way to get for supplies, audio-visual equipment, computer equipment, and even things that you might not think you'd be able to do. We pay for trips, we pay for bleachers, we pay for air conditioning systems. It's a great way for communities to rally around and get what they need for their school.
So basically, every time you swipe your card, you get it back to your community.
That's
Is
right,
that right?
absolutely.
It doesn't get any better than that, folks.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, on the field itself, from what I understand, you guys have a famous, also, field goal challenge. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, and this is a lot of fun to keep up with throughout the season because every field goal on Friday Night Rivals will be $100. So at the end of the season, we'll be giving one great big check with our partners at WMYA to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Henderson County. So you're going to be whatever the total is, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of field goals this season. We've tabulated along the way. Keep up with it as you go along. That total grows. It's a wonderful opportunity. The athletes get involved in it a little bit. It's wonderful. A lot of fun.
That's fantastic. Now, Melissa, let's talk for a second about the relationship between Ingles and Friday Night Rivals. You guys have had a long-standing relationship, from what I understand.
That's right. We've been there from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning, and we wouldn't have it any other way. We love seeing high school football. Something about the energy on Friday Night Football, under the lights. It's always just a little bit more exciting than any other time of the week, don't you think?
I do. And what about, speaking of Friday Night Football, what about that tailgating special? Tell us about that.
You're right. Well, tailgate's a little different for Friday Night Lights because, you've got to get the athlete to the field, but you got the rest of the family to feed and everybody, you're coming from work probably. Grab something good from Ingles. Don't stop the drive-through. Don't go through something quick and fast food. We're fast, but we're healthy and great and fresh and something for everybody. Good boar's head meat subs, wonderful fried chicken, rotisserie chicken, hot bar open all the time, even a little sushi if you want to get a little crazy about it. All terrific.
All outstanding work. Good job, Melissa.
Thank you.
This is Friday Night Rivals. I'm Nelson Weston. Time for some football.
Arby's tries to focus on 3 key areas when working with students. We focus on food Arby's tries to focus on 3 key areas when working with students. We focus on food insecurities, promoting youth leadership, and elevating career readiness. The Scholar Athlete of the Week highlights one student athlete who excels in both sports and academia. Arby's recognizes the importance of working in the game and in the classroom. Sponsoring a program like Scholar Athlete fits in perfectly with our core values and our desire to promote student leaders. One of our core values is to make a difference. The Inspirational Student of the Week highlights a student who makes a difference in the lives of others and their communities. By honoring these students, we hope to inspire tomorrow's leaders. From your local Arby's, we wish all the students a fantastic school year.
Cortez Dawkins, he is our Gaffney Scholar Athlete of the Week. I'm going to hand you your plaque.
Welcome back. Well, folks, as we promised, it is going to be a high-scoring game indeed. We're looking at a score right now of 28-21, so who knows what's going to happen in the second half. We had a chance to interview one of our Arby's Scholar athletes from Gaffney High School back in August, Mr. Cortez Dawson. He was interviewed by one of our sideline reporters, Marilyn Payne. Let's check in more with that interview.
Cortez Dawkins, he is our Gaffney Scholar Athlete of the Week. I'm going to hand you your plaque from Arby's, first of all. Now, Cortez is a self-proclaimed perfectionist. He ranked 25th in his class of 350 students at Gaffney High School. He told me that math is your favorite subject. Why is math your favorite?
It's my favorite because it comes easy to me.
Okay, now, when did you figure that out, that math comes easy to you? Because I cannot say the same for myself.
When I was in elementary school, I was always good at it. I used to make hundreds on every test, but if I made a 99, I was disappointed.
Okay, so what did you do with that disappointment when it came?
I just studied harder for the next test.
And now you're also a 2-year varsity athlete with the basketball team, a 2-year letterman.
Yes,
what
ma'am.
do you want to do that kind of combines some of your passions, that love for math and your talent on the basketball court?
I want to further my career in college. I would like to attend USC Upstate.
Okay.
That's the plan. I want to be a PA, a physician assistant. Yes, ma'am.
Why is being a physician's assistant something that appeals to you?
I like helping people, and math ties into that. So if I get to help people and do a little bit of math and do a little bit of science, then hey, I'm set for my career. I'll be happy every day going to work.
Yeah, and if you're happy when you go to work, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Well, it sounds like you've got it all laid out. I think it's very easy to understand why he was also given Gaffney's 2020 to 2021 Sportsmanship Award at Gaffney High School. Cortez, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us and tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do what you do so well. I admire and aspire to be that level of a perfectionist. You are inspiring not only to me, but everybody, I think, at home watching Friday Night Rivals here. Stay with us at Spartanburg High School. We'll be back with more after the break.
Pass play. Another fake. It's tested away, but he pitches to... Second and 5 after the 5-yard pass play. Another fake. It's tested away, but he pitches to Keaton. The twin telepathy goes through, and Keaton Wade scores.
It's a touchdown and extra point away from losing this game, so Arsenal gets the kick out of it. Pretty good one.
Oh, that's off a foot, and how many times? Watch out. It's a touchdown.
Look his direction, and now Whitfield extending the play, throws, and that he is intercepted, and what a grab. Unbelievable extension on that play.
Not a great sign, but they're going to try to turn around. Williams with the inside pitch this time. That's actually a pass, and he did not go down. He had a hand on the ground. This may be a problem. This may be a problem. He's got one man behind him. He's going to figure off a little bit, but Antonio Williams is going to walk away and strike up the band for the Dutch Sport Silver Foxes.
I would Hail Mary it at this point. Whitlock is going to keep it. Whitlock has a seat. Devin Whitlock all the way for the touchdown.
Right, and curve it in.
Here it goes on the way. Oh, close.
He made it.
He made it. Are you kidding me? Helm. He scored on a touchdown earlier, and he does it again. And Maverick wins the game in overtime.
What moments await here at Dorman High School in the rivalry matchup with Gaffney tonight? Only time will tell. One thing for sure, the first half, we saw 600 yards of offense between these two teams, and it was filled with moments that are highlight-worthy. You think about a 90-yard touchdown pass. You think about some 40-yard touchdown run. You think about the pick six that we saw early on, which gave Dorman an early advantage. But Dan Jones' team battled back, and they find themselves within one score, the third-ranked team in the state. And the head coach of the Gaffney Indians is standing by with Nelson on the Carolina Furniture Concepts Coach's Corner.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Well, Coach, it was a pretty exciting first half. You guys managed to claw your way back, and now you're only down by one touchdown. That defense has been pretty good tonight. What are your thoughts on the first half?
Well, we got to find a way to make them punt more, I can tell you that. And it was exciting for y'all, but not real exciting for us. But, you know, we just got to keep battling. Hopefully it's going to be a full four-quarter game, and our kids got to keep competing. We got to make some big plays.
So what was the message to the boys in the locker room just now?
Just keep battling. It's not going to get easy. It's not like they're going to let up. It's, you know, those 300-pounders aren't going to come back out of halftime at 200. So they're going to keep coming, and we just got to keep playing.
All right. Well, good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
Back to you, Tom. Back to you, Jason.
So many of these wars, spoken like a man who's been in so many of these wars. And here are a look back at the highlights from the first half. Here's a look back at all the prime moments from the first 24, Tom.
Demarius Foster went the distance, and how about Armani Weaver, the freshman, the interception? All of a sudden, it's 14-0 early.
Well, and that was for one of two picks for Weaver. Here's the other. He brought this back a ways as well. Already, the freshman, one of several freshmen, having a big night.
Yeah, he knows what to do with it when he gets it in the open field, doesn't he? That's set up a short field again.
This one it looked like Dorman was going to pull away, though, especially with the work that Foster did. Here was that 4th down stop for Gaffney.
Yeah, nicely done. That stopped on 3rd down and then on 4th and 1 because it was going to be 14. Could have been 21 nothing at that point. Look what happens right after that.
Mr. Corey was wide open for the distance. A 90-yard connection to Corey from Loftus. And then Gaffney using the ground game with Ken Littlejohn. At this point, the Indians pulled even, but Dorman went on a march to close out the half that provided a 1-score advantage. Here's a look at some of the numbers from that first half. What jumps off the stat sheet at you, Tom?
About 605 total yards in the first half, and a couple turnovers by Gaffney. One of them, the interception, took it back. We talked about the turnover margin was plus 12 for Gaffney, and relatively even the rest of the way. Dorman able to rush the football, talk about big guys up front, and then Gaffney has thrown for 243 yards the first half, and that shored that defense up a little bit the second half of Dorman.
If the first half was an appetizer of what's to come, we can't wait to get the second half started. Kickoff coming up on the other side of the break with Dorman leading Gaffney by a score here in Spartanburg County. Well, the only field goals tonight have been extra points to this point. Thought a couple of times we may be shaping up for one, and who knows, this could come down to. We thought last year between these two teams was going to. Could come down to a field goal. If so, the Ingles field goal challenge will be in effect. Ingles Markets, for every field goal scored in these Friday Night Rivals contests, will be donating $100 to the Boys and Girls Club. Ingles saying good luck to all athletes and teams playing in tonight's contest and in all contests this season. Ingles Markets, where your savings say something. And worth reminding everybody, Tom, that this Dorman team was driving in late in the football game at the reservation last year.
Yes.
And but for a snap that went over the head of the quarterback, they were lining up, getting ready to line up for what could have been a game-winning field goal. That one just that close, and this one still a one-score contest as we get set to enter the third period.
Yeah, one of the best games, most exciting games we had last year was 30-29, and Gaffney ended up in the second round of the playoffs and lost a tough one, 34-33 to TL Hanna after they had gotten behind after TL Hanna outscored them 20-0 in the third quarter of play and lost by one, and then it was a Northwestern team that beat this Dorman team in the second round 27-21, and they're right back at it again this year. Dorman, of course, lost a couple of ball games. Clover, kind of surprisingly, but for Dorchester's 38-28. Dorchester's the number 2 team in the 5A right now, and they won a couple back-to-back, and Gaffney's undefeated. So you figured that these two colliding here tonight would produce this kind of ball game.
And a Clover team out of Gaffney's region, by the way, when you take a look at the way things have lined up from a standpoint of down in that portion of the state. And Tom, you said it, both of them reaching the quarterfinals last year, on the verge of perhaps playing head-to-head. No reason to believe that those aren't the 4 teams you're looking at right now. TL Hanna, in terms of the upstate, seeing what they've done. We saw them earlier in the year. Northwestern, as strong as they have ever been. And, of course, Gaffney and Dorman, who you're watching tonight. Those really are the 4 everyone's still chasing in South Carolina as we've reached the midway point of the high school football season, a little bit beyond it now. But you know the goal. These 2 teams expect to be playing Thanksgiving weekend for the right to play in the month of December. When you're putting up the Christmas decorations, they expect to be playing football. Usually one or the other of them there, and no reason to believe this isn't a year that'll be the case again.
Burns not having really the kind of year that they usually have to a certain extent, and a nice win on a last-second field goal by Spartanburg to win last week. Mark Hodge will get them turned around. So
it's going to take some time, but Coach Hodge will do some things there like he did at Chapman, no doubt.
But a lot of powerful teams in the upstate of South Carolina at the 5A level.
And we should say, you mentioned Burns, and you also mentioned Spartanburg High School. Just across the way from us here in the coach's booth, Chris Miller, who's on this Gaffney defensive staff now. We've praised the coaches' staffs along the way. Always good to see Coach Miller as well, whether it was at Burns over the years, whether it was at Spartan High during his time there, or certainly now as a part of this Gaffney staff. But you said it, Tom, expect those teams to be there when the dust settles. And you wonder, as we get back to football here in the third quarter, how will Burns be affected in terms of what happened tonight? They've got Dorman waiting in the wings next week, big region battle. And, of course, things washed out a little bit, going to be changed up, the day of preparation lost. So there are some wrinkles. Coach Gutshaw said it with the protocols and everything that's happening there, that there have been so many different things he's had to deal with this year. Navigating the wrinkles is going to be as key as playing good football in between the white lines. And you saw Dorman insert Bomar into the game there. Bomar's pass a little high. He will throw the football from time to time. Tried to make a connection with Raekwon Robinson, and this pass incomplete, so third down coming. And maybe that's the thing we haven't talked as much about tonight that maybe we should from time to time on these weekly broadcasts. You're doing so much more than just coaching football right now.
Oh, my.
Coach Jones talked about he's juggling tests for different things and who's had this test and who's ended up with that. And we're not talking about tests that take place in the classroom. We're talking about things related to protocols. And Coach Gutshaw said they've been way more affected here at Dorman this year than they were last year. Lost a game due to protocols. So there's a lot you're navigating just to get to football moments like this. And this is a pretty good football moment for Bomar. He's across the 40. There's that speed, is able to cut to the 45 into Gaffney territory at the 44-yard line. It is hard to believe you are looking at a ninth grader.
Well, and I tell you what, that's a microcosm of what that young man brings to the table. Again, it was a third down.
There is a
penalty mark to bring it back. But that aside, he showed what he can bring to the table in the open field and what he can do. They're going to come back, though. But
doesn't take away the snapshot of his speed and ability. You're exactly right. 36 yards on the rush, but there was a flag down there.
10-yard penalty.
And you hear the call, a holding call. And, again, that's the area Dorman talks so much about, plays that negated big gains, penalties that negated big plays, probably better terminology there. They want to cut those out as we get closer to the finish line here tonight. 11 minutes remaining, just underway in the third quarter. And third down and long for Dorman. Bomar still in the game at quarterback. He will sling it, and this one looked to be picked by Gaffney, but a collision knocks it out at the last possible moment. Fourth down's coming, so Dorman will kick it away, but Gaffney was going to have even better field position right here, Tom.
Yeah, let's see. I think it's Rayshawn Littlejohn, and, in front of him might have been Eddie Tate McDowell. Again, we'll see if it was his back, but he might have just got a little bit of his vision there where he might have had an interception. Littlejohn had a really strong first half as well, and here's one of the keys that we talked about in the second half is to get off the field.
And punting has been a key, too. Dorman having been a little touch and go, especially early in the year in the punting department. And Jeffries is standing back at the 45 to return it. This is going to bounce toward the sideline, and right about the 45 is where it's going to land. They're going to be able to blow it dead at the 44-yard line. Gaffney 44 yards from tying the football game as they take over for the first time here in this third quarter after a 27-yard punt. So incremental progress for Dorman in the kicking game. You've seen that. We talked about some of the things they want to clean up with penalties. One thing we know about this Dorman team, they are as good progressing from one week to the next toward the end of the season as anybody, thanks to the adjustments the coaching staff makes. Just look at this year as a snapshot.
What Coach Gutshaw will tell you on the pregame show, want to just get better every week.
And it's a flag that's going to turn this run by Tyler Smith into less than what you just saw, as that's in the backfield. And of greater consequence right now is the fact that Jadarius Littlejohn is on the turf right at the heart of that Dorman logo, and he looks to be favoring that right leg as he went quickly to the turf and has not reemerged as the Gaffney training staff will tend to Littlejohn. Again, the flag to be sorted out here as well as both teams go to their sideline due to the injury We're going to get an injury timeout here. As that's a good sign as Little John is up, the senior wide receiver going to be walking off under his own power.
Well, for Gaffney, the way things started, they punted the football, then they had an interception return for a touchdown at 44 yards, punted it again, then the interception, and both those by Armani Weaver. And then the last 3 possessions in the first half, it started with the 5, 36, and 24. They were able to get touchdowns to get within 28-21 here as we start the third.
So they walked off the penalty. It's first down at the 44-yard line on the Indian side of the field, trying to get back on into Dorman territory on this run as Gaffney's Ken Littlejohn. He's on the doorstep of it. In fact, they may place this right across the 50-yard line. They will. And second down is coming. The 34 is what's needed for Gaffney. He gets a pretty good chunk of it here, Tom.
And watch Brandon Teamer, the 6'1", 190-pound sophomore, coming from the backside to make that play. I mean, he's a nice-looking young man as well, a youngster as a sophomore.
I'll give you the total offense numbers from that first half here in a moment. We didn't give them to you specifically. First things first, the second down play for Gaffney. And rolling this direction is Loftus. He's going to be rushed out of bounds at the 48. So it's going to be third down and about 14 once they sort it all out. How about these numbers, Tom? Total offense, you saw them on the screen at the break, but for those who may have stepped away and are joining us back in the third quarter, 292 yards of first half offense for Dorman. 313 yards of first half offense for Gaffney. And for Dorman, 223 of that on the ground. For Gaffney, 243 of that through the air. That's rolling up some yards in this football game.
600 plus between the two teams.
9:37 on the game clock as Gaffney faces third down, needing again the 34-yard line for a first down. Pocket holds, wide open receiver in behind the defense. Corey was there again, but this one a little too long on the delivery, and it's incomplete.
Tell you, we talked about that at halftime. Big pass plays in the first half, and you gave the numbers: 243 yards passing in the first half for Gaffney, and Grayson Loftus 8 out of 14. 30 yards per reception helped when you get one of a long range. But man, just missed that one there. That could have been a touchdown.
Yeah, a long of 90. That's going to skew the averages just a little bit, but still 243 passing yards at the half for Grayson Loftus in this football game. Throwing a couple of picks off of Loftus and about 80 yards on the returns of those. Those have been big moments. Special teams has gone as planned for both squads so far. This is going to be a fair catch for Norman, and Norman will take over inside its 20 in a 28-21 football game when you return to Spartanburg County. Well, it's bow time. The new Bo's Chicken Sandwich. So hand-breaded, so bold seasoned, and Big League Crunchy. It's going to make you say, that sandwich, so good. It's the new Bo's Chicken Sandwich. It's available for $3.99 only at Bojangles. Check it out where it's bow time. Well, let's check in with Nelson, who is filled side for this week's check presentation. Nelson?
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. I'm standing by here with the principal of Dorman High School, Mr. Bryant Robinson. Principal Robinson, on behalf of Bojangles and My40, we thank you, we thank the faculty, the staff, and of course the students and the teachers for your kind support here today. Thank you so much for your hospitality. Back to you, Tom. Back to you, Jason.
Thanks, Nelson. And again, a major thank you. We said it earlier, all the fine folks here at Dorman and the administrators here, as well as at Gaffney High School, gathering the information, making it possible for us to do these games. And boy, as welcoming an environment as we go to, we come to Dorman, it seems, every year and have every year since this package started over a decade ago. Friday night rivals, whether it's been Friday Night Lights, Thursday Night Lights, or Friday Night Rivals, whatever edition, we found our way to Dorman to see Coach Gutshaw's great football teams, and always welcomed with open arms by the folks here at Dorman. Big thank you to everyone, from the superintendent, the principal who you saw there, Clint Harrell and his staff on down. And back to action as Bomar going to carry this across the 30 to the 34. That's a first down, a first Franklin Financial movement of the chains for Dorman again.
Well, just a straight call, quarterback keep, big guys out in front. He'll negotiate, make a cut or two there, and you can see what he can do in the open field. How about back-to-back punts? We talked about some of the situations that needed to occur in the second half is to try to get off the field, and both have been able to do, particularly that after the football at the 44-yard line in Dorman territory, to get out of that for the Cavaliers to get it back.
Well, and after scoring drives of 149, 44 seconds, 47 seconds, 219, 111, and 214 by these teams, the quick strike capability making it all the more impressive that both these defenses have stiffened their neck here in the early third quarter. We get a flag down at the 35-yard line on this Dorman snap, just ahead of the first down play. This is going to back the Cavaliers up. That a too familiar refrain for Dorman this season, as another false start will be the culprit for the Cavs.
And the penalty against Gaffney when they had the football down there, the 44-yard line, was a big one as well. So need to clean up those things a little bit. And to a certain extent, Dorman only had 3 penalties for 36 yards in the first half after, 17 for 170 last week, and then went over Riverside.
Much different. How about the wrinkle here, and flags fly as Dorman tries to move quickly, snapping it into the hands of Hudson Talley. And another false start against Dorman. We'll see the Cavaliers marching in the wrong direction right now. Inside the 30 to the 29. A first down and 20 for the Cavs. I should say the 24-yard line. That's going to be a good chunk of it, and maybe more, as the spin move is the difference maker for Kendall Norman, who's going to take it on home. Norman 75 yards later. He hit the circle button on that time, was able to make it all the way home for a Dorman touchdown. How about that? The lead going to grow a little bit as Kendall Norman, at the latest of his prime moments for the Dorman Cavaliers. Again, without the services of Tyson Rogers tonight, you knew it was going to be on the shoulders of the likes of Kendall Norman and DJ Porter. Boy, have they answered the bell. Look at Norman. The field vision really wows you there.
Yeah, able to catch that ball and looked like Eddie Tate-McDowell was maybe going to get him on the sideline then, but then the cutback and Bullock trying to catch him, and he weaves his way. And of course, his second touchdown of the year, the big play here.
The extra point was good. 35-21 Cavs. Well, just when you thought Dorman was behind the sticks, they end up with a 76-yard touchdown pass to Kendall Norman from Hudson Talley. That, of course, was the extra point that followed up the long touchdown connection. Again, 76 yards to Norman. And I'll say it again, Tom. It looked like Dorman was well behind the sticks. Perhaps that drive was going to come to a close, but both these teams proving tonight just how explosive they are capable of being along the way. Now, a foot into it as they work its way back to the goal line. Good return coming for Gaffney here. Speaking of explosiveness, here's Tyler Smith, far sideline, and he's into Dorman territory before it ends up being the kicker finally bringing him to a halt. And how about a 58-yard answer for the Gaffney Indians?
Tell you, nice job there, though, by Matthew Gibson to lay a look. You'll see it at the end. Good blocking up front and able to turn the corner and get to the outside, and just what Gaffney needed to get good field position here. Now down by a couple touchdowns.
If Armani Weaver doesn't catch him from behind there, it's Gibson or bust for Gaffney Smith down the sideline. And, of course, Weaver, you got to factor in his speed. He has a couple of picks in this one, including a pick six earlier in the contest, does the freshman. Gaffney going to stick with, and why not, Tyler Smith after the return, and he's got a positive chunk of yardage on the first down play. Well, 7:26 left to go in the football game. There is an eternity before we're done tonight, Tom, in football terms. But it feels like Gaffney needs some points right here with Dorman stretching it out to its high water mark. They have the lead back at 14.
And they've got outstanding field position. They had it a moment ago at the 44-yard line, and they eventually had to punt it away. And here they had it from the 42 to begin. So they definitely need to take advantage of this field position.
This time they're going to go to Ken Littlejohn, the 1-2 punch of Tyler Smith and Ken Littlejohn back in effect. If you're wondering how they have fared tonight, Ken Littlejohn, 4 carries for 29 yards. He did have the touchdown run for Gaffney. And Tyler Smith, 13 carries, 63 yards. He has a long of 17 and is averaging just over 4 yards per carry in this contest. That's the first Franklin Financial first down earned by the duo. And it's going to be Ken Littlejohn again. Down to the 25. Gaffney opting to just grind this one out once they work their way into Dorman territory.
Yeah, only 70 yards on the ground in the first half. Of course, you have 243 yards passing. That'll make a difference as well. But it's also a Gaffney team that has averaged over 200 yards rushing per game with 22 touchdowns coming in and 6 yards per carry. So, I mean, we're in the third quarter midway. This becomes a really important drive.
Second down play, all kind of space put together by that Gaffney offensive line, and were it not for one piece of contact with Tyler Smith, perhaps he goes even deeper into the interior of that Dorman defense. Look at Tyler Smith, gingerly working his way back to his position after a First Franklin Financial gain. And here is the First Franklin Financial first down play. Littlejohn to the 15-yard line. Well, we haven't maybe sung their praises enough. We talked about the Dorman offensive line a little earlier, but Hunter Turner, Ethan Woods, Johan Aragon, Sawyer Whitman, and T.J. Edrington up front for Gaffney, making some good space for the back duo of Smith and Littlejohn.
Well, need to do it here on this particular drive as well, because those are two really good backs, strong, hard running backs that are both averaging in the 100-yard rush per game.
Here's Ken Littlejohn, and he gets into that second level of the Dorman defense pretty quickly, Tom Benoy, down to the 10-yard line. Here comes a third short.
Yeah, nothing fancy on this drive. You get the ball at the 42-yard line. They're turning around, and, you know, you went through that offensive line, and they averaged 283. And you and I have been doing this for a long time. It's amazing how much bigger, and not only that, but athletic. They're not just big guys up front.
It's the size college lines used to be when we started, right? Now these are the high school lines. It's just remarkable. Here comes third down for Gaffney, and it's going to be carried this direction, and the corner not there as it is turned away. And for Dorman, the chase was provided by Deshaun Parks, who was able to keep him from getting the corner, Tom.
It got going laterally just a little bit, allowed him to close, and then come over and knock him down.
able to get enough space to create a fresh set of downs. And so Gaffney will have 4 fresh ones from just outside the 5-yard line. He had designs on the corner in the end zone. That wasn't there, but it is enough for the first. And the Indians throwing toward the back of the end zone, and that is caught for a touchdown. You saw him a little banged up earlier, but Jadarius Littlejohn no worse for the wear as he reels in the Gaffney TD pass from Grayson Loftus.
I'll tell you, how about that call? Now, there was some pressure as well that had just turned around, handed it off. Big offensive line, getting it done, moving it down the field, got a first goal at the 5-yard line, and then deciding to throw the football, avoided pressure, and then found Littlejohn in the end zone for the touchdown.
Well, correct me, Tom, if memory does not serve. I think that was the first pass play on that drive. Everything was on the ground, and then Gaffney to the skies, to the back of the end zone, and with the extra point from A.J. Haynes, back within 7 at 35-28. Here's the true toss from Grayson Loftus right here.
Yeah, bought some time and then let his wide receiver come across the back of the end zone and hit him in stride for the touchdown. Nice response. Every time you think Dorman is getting a little bit of a breathing room, we saw that in the first quarter. Folks weren't with us here, 14-0 lead, and Dorman had the ball down to the 5-yard line, didn't convert on 4th down, and then back comes the Gaffney Indians to get a touchdown after that. Here was a 2-touchdown lead, comes right back. Good field position set up on the kickoff return and able to score on this one after they had it at 46 and had the punt.
Yeah, if you missed it, the moment Tom is referring to there at the beginning, it was going to be 21-0 Dorman. Instead, Gaffney with a 90-yard touchdown pass. That was the first score for the Indians. It took what was going to be a 21-0 game as it was trending, turned it into a 14-7 game, and Gaffney having been able to hang close ever since. And the fans certainly getting their money's worth, being entertained by these two tonight as the Indians get set to kick it away following an impressive drive. And that drive may be more than any we've seen, a microcosm of what we talked about with Dorman at the end of the first half, how they could march, use their timeouts, effectively handle the clock. That more of a Gaffney constant march than the big plays we've seen so far tonight. The return to the 22, and that's all. That's where Dorman will take over. So can these two teams that have scored as often and not in less than 2 minutes, sometimes less than a minute, just seconds tonight, can they put together sustained drives? You're reminded in a moment like that? Absolutely.
Can you get off the field defensively, too, is the other major part of that equation as well. I mean, this is typical games we've done, typical Dorman and Gaffney. Again, this is a non-region game, but still it's a big rivalry between these two teams.
Now, they've been doing this year in and year out. Mentioned it dates back to the old John L. Martin days and the old reservation there just off Chandler Drive in Gaffney. You think about John L. Martin Stadium. We talked about it, the original campus for Dorman before moving down here to this location. Boy, the battles when folks used to be standing around the fence 3 and 4 deep just trying to get a look at these games. Crowd may be a bit subdued tonight due to the rain, but this game has not been. And these two worked their way into the depths of the third quarter with nothing decided. And the defense is continuing to show themselves at key moments. Carlos Lopez does so here for the Indians.
And Bomar, if you can kind of funnel him back inside, if he gets outside and can get moving, he can do some damage there. But, yeah, you mentioned, good look at Carlos Lopez, 6'2", 230, senior defensive end off that right side. You know, Putnam right next to him, the sophomore nose tackle, had a really good first half as well. And the other defensive end off the other side is Nathan Johnson, 6'6", 200 junior, those three guys up front.
Bomar still in there. He split time with Talley tonight as he has and will continue to as best we understand all season. He's under duress here and is eventually going to be spun around and dropped by that Indian front line. The Gaffney defense stiffens here, and boy, after making an outstanding play, looks like a little slow to move forward is Putnam, who you mentioned just a moment ago. Take another look at what happened here. Putnam in pursuit. And he's able to spin the quarterback around, but then after getting up, he goes to the turf pretty quickly. You see him grabbing the backside of his left choir there. Let's see what ended up happening. The training staff out for Gaffney. We'll try to keep an eye on this and update the status of the Gaffney defender in a moment. Well, one of the key pieces of the puzzle on that front line for the Gaffney Indians, up and appearing as if he's okay, came away with the drop of the quarterback, which put Dorman in a third and forever scenario, but then hit the turf himself pretty quickly. Now up and moving under his own power, as you can see, which is good news for the Gaffney Indians.
He has had a really good night going against the tough forward ball.
Here is third down and forever, and it's going to be a little room initially for Foster, who's up near the 20, but that's not nearly what Dorman needed, so fourth down is coming. Yeah, you mentioned he's had a great night. You look at Little John, have to be specific here, obviously, Brayshawn Littlejohn on the defensive side of the ball, who has had 7 tackles tonight to lead the way for the Indians. Of course, J.D. Dowdle with 5, Landon Bullock with a big night with 5 tackles in the contest already. So that Gaffney defense keeping this squad in it. And now, after the fair catch from Edward Jeffries, the Indians will have it back just shy of Dorman territory with under 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter and what remains a 1-score separation between these two teams.
Well, got off the field again and forced yet another punt. You go back to the beginning of the ball game when the 41-yard run by Foster set the tone, and there was the interception and a couple of situations on downs for Dorman before they scored a pair of touchdowns by Black as well to lead at halftime 28-21.
37 yards on the punt here. First and 10 for the Indians from the 44-yard line. Yeah, we have seen Will Black a couple of times in short yardage situations, both of which he has excelled tremendously. Looks to be on par to be full strength in that big region game for Dorman next week against county rival Burns. This is fired far side. Baseball postseason time, right? That looked like he loaded up and fired a fastball over there that is going to go incomplete. And a little bit slow working his way back toward the line of scrimmage is Deshaun Corey, who's had a couple of big moments for Gaffney. Corey, by the way, 3 catches, 124 yards. Think about Norman for Dorman, 4 catches, 118 yards. We give you the rushing yards on both sides and how outstanding a performance that Foster's already put together for Dorman, who you saw a moment ago. He's just 18 yards shy, 200 already with the touchdown on 15 carries. So some big nights, and Gaffney's backs did the heavy lifting on the last drive. They'll go to the ground here. And Smith at 16 carries, 82 yards. Littlejohn at 8 carries, 46 yards. Ken Littlejohn on the night, and the touchdown on the ground belonging to Ken Littlejohn, the first one along the way for Gaffney. So that's how the work has been done individually. Who can rise to the occasion on 3rd down and 9? The Indians need the 46. And heavy pressure coming. Dorman just pinning its ears back and sending the cavalry. And it's Deshaun Parks who ends up getting there first for the Cavaliers to sack the QB and snuff out the Gaffney drive.
That's the first time we've really seen him bring the house, as the cliche goes, and all kind of pressure. But when you go back and you're incomplete on 1st down and you pick up nothing on 2nd down, you're forced to throw the football. The last possession, they turned around and ran the football right down the field and able to get the touchdown pass on the only pass of that drive, but now 3 and out.
Again, an explosive return man for Dorman if he ever gets a chance. If they kick it in the direction of Dorman, he can make you pay. But this is going to be surrounded by white jerseys, and Gaffney will blow it dead at the 26-yard line. Cavaliers will take over after a 41-yard punt by A.J. Haynes. Just 28 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 28 points on the board for a Gaffney team undefeated and trailing a 3-2 Dorman squad, playing much better of late, 1-0 in the region, by those 7 points that separate these two.
Yeah, Dorman lost the first game of the year to Clover, 20-7. That's the only win the Clovers had this year. Beat Boiling Springs and then lost to on the road at Fort Dorchester, 38-28, before beating Ridgeview, who was ranked number 7, at Riverside, who was ranked number 6.
Wouldn't you like to be able to place yourself for just a moment in the mind of one of the great gentlemen in this sport? We've documented his background over the years, a West Virginia coal mining background, worked his way into other areas because he didn't think he wanted to be a coach. Can you imagine what a loss that would have been to the sport of football in the Carolinas Head coach David Gutschall done something different, ended up selling wine, among other things, in Florida for a little while. But all roads led back to his father's profession, and he knew he had to coach. He's going to carry his team into the fourth quarter against the third-ranked team in the state and his rival, an unbeaten Gaffney squad. Will the old West Virginia coal miner, he'll do it with a 35-28 advantage. Fourth quarter coming. If it's anything like we've seen, got to be another classic Gaffney-Dorman finish. Well, it's bow time. The new Bo's Chicken Sandwich, so hand-breaded, bold seasoned, and big league crunchy. It's going to make you say, that's so good. Try the new Bo's Chicken Sandwich, just $3.99, only at Bojangles. It's bow time. And between Gaffney and Dorman, it's fourth quarter time. We talked about crawling in the mind of Coach Gutschall a moment ago. Same image here. Dan Jones thinking about this 12 minutes and what it will mean to his football team. He's a Gaffney guy through and through, as a player, as a coach, bringing home the latest of the state championships to that proud town with so much tradition in the sport of high school football. And now he goes toe-to-toe yet again with Coach Gutschall for 12 minutes to determine the win. Dorman with the lead and the football to open the fourth period. And Will Black going to carry it on second down for a couple. Third down coming. Boy, two of the outstanding gentlemen in this sport, two of the great coaches in this game. And how many times have we seen them go into a fourth quarter like this with so much on the line, playing that chess match once more?
Well, these are typical games. The last four, they're 2-2. Then there was a point in time when Dorman had won 5 consecutive, including twice in 17 and 19 regular season and post-season play, the Upper State Championship. But then you backtrack a little bit farther down the line, and Gaffney won 4 consecutive. So out of the last 14, it's 8-6, and many of them have been just like this.
Timeout, Dorman. You saw Coach Gutschall get a little fired up there. You question the fire, it is there. He'll tell you that he simply outlasted his contemporaries in terms of the wins and all that. Well, he's outcoached them many times along the way, too, Tom Van Hoy. One of the best on that Dorman sideline. And, again, the Gaffney, a true Gaffney individual on one side, and just two great gentlemen going toe-to-toe here. It just sets up to be everything you hoped it would be when you came out to Dorman High School on a Friday night like this if you're a fan. And, boy, whatever transpires across the next 11-20, Tom, it'll go as the next chapter in the history books between these two longtime rivals.
Yeah, these two have gotten at it over the years, and we mentioned they met twice in 17 and in 19, and you know, it could happen again. Both are in different regions this year. And, you know, Coach Jones there, 25 total years and 12 years as the head coach. You mentioned Coach Gutschall, and you mentioned that when he started, and he told us the story about when he first began in North Carolina at Madison-Maiden, and they won the game, and it ended the longest losing streak in North Carolina, and they carried him off.
Yeah, carried him off on the shoulders, that's right. You looked at Dan Jones on the other side there. I mean, he's joined the likes in picking up his 100th win a little earlier. He's on the heels of the Bob Pravats, the A.L. Curtises of the world with his work there at Gaffney. You think about all the years, Joe Montgomery and the good work he did there, Phil Strickland, who continues to do solid work in the state elsewhere now. So they have followed in the footsteps of legends and have become legends in their own right. There's a flag down on this play. We also have a Gaffney Indian down, which is of greater concern right now on the far side, as Putnam went off a little bit ago, Tom, and he has come back onto the football field, but is now down again. while they work on Putnam, a lot going on here at the same time, the officials are going to walk off the penalty against the Cavaliers on the third down play. But the Gaffney training staff right now, the focal point, at least for the crew on the far side.
Yeah, he able to get that ball to Norman in space, and we saw a little bit earlier on that 75-yard touchdown pass what he was able to do as he meandered his way up the sideline, broke a tackle, and then able to take it the distance for the touchdown. So many big plays in this game, and you'll get a look at this again, just a fake toss sweep and then come back the other way and wide open there before he was up in it. Pretty good tackle in the open field by, again, Brayshawn Littlejohn, but I'm going to come back to penalty.
Well, this is a chance for both those coaches to gather their teams up. You don't intend it to be so, but when you have a player down like we have right now, Tom, it almost serves as an additional timeout for these two teams in a critical moment of the game.
Yeah, with 11-12 to go in 35-28 ball game with the Dorman in the lead. Both these teams averaging over 30 points per game, and we've talked about the undefeated Gaffney Indians at 6-0. They won at Spartanburg 31-12. And then beat Somerville 35-7. Mallard Creek, who's been a power out of North Carolina, 38-14. Beat Burns 45-15 down. Gray Collegiate. Gray Collegiate, by the way, is number 2 team in 2A, which is back of Abbeville, who's number 1. And then they beat Bowling Springs 34-0 last week. The other thing we needed to mention, Jason, was that both these teams have had to shift their schedules to a certain extent. They didn't play the ones that initially were there, so they've had to adjust in that regard as well.
Yeah, just to have somebody to play has been an accomplishment in this era, that is for sure. And on third down, this sails high. So fourth down coming, and the Dorman kicking unit is back on. Yeah, we were joking with Dan Jones. We talked about Coach Gutshaw telling us that this has been far more of a challenge than a year ago, just in the way it's affected his team. He said at one point, I had 1/3 of my team that were down with COVID protocols, not with COVID itself, but with protocols because of contact tracing and different things, and had a game that they lost this year because of that. We were joking with Dan Jones as we have another penalty flag to sort out here. It gives us a chance to share this one with you. He said,
dead ball, encroachment.
We did get to play games this year, but kind of the joke was, who did you play, who didn't you play? You were working so hard to get games at one point in the early part of Gaffney's season that it's hard to remember who actually lined up on the other side. And, of course, tongue-in-cheek in that vein, because each one of those games, hard-fought victories for his undefeated squad. But the fact is, they many times up through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, didn't know who they were playing.
And that changes everything for preparation. You just wanted to have a chance to play.
And this one's blocked. There is that special teams moment, picked up and carried into the end zone by Landon Bullock for a Gaffney touchdown to tie the game. The punt is blocked by the Indians, and Landon Bullock is able to pick it up at the 1. Now, they will not allow him to advance this football, I do not believe. Well, let's see if they do allow him to advance this football. The extra point's going to be kicked, so it looks like this is going to be a touchdown. They always have to determine, was it fumbled? Did he have it? Did he go in? And he does, Tom. A great look by our crew. Landon Bullock able to pick it up and fall into the end zone for a touchdown. So here's the A.J. Haynes kick. And the left-footed effort is true. 35 all with 10:52 to play. And give credit to Landon Bullock. He gets the hardware that comes with it because he finished the deal for Gaffney after the block punt.
Well, the great thing about that is he blocked it and he recovered it himself.
Absolutely. How often does that happen?
Sometimes it doesn't, and just the tremendous individual play to continue on and able to get it and take it in. And, just when you thought Dorman, they had the 14-point lead of the first half, 14-point lead of the second half, this Gaffney team is not going to go away, that's for sure.
Gaffney having tied it up with just under 11 minutes to play. Let's check in with Nelson, who has tonight's Ingles Food for Thought just prior to the kickoff.
Tonight's Food for Thought is brought to you by Ingles Markets. Low prices, love the savings. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is a former Dorman High School football player. He was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 2019. His mother is still an employee of Dorman High School. The Philadelphia Eagles may or may not be Principal Robinson's favorite NFL team. Back to you, Tom. Back to you, Jason.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption there. Thank you, Nelson. Tom, you remember the night J.J. Arcega-Whiteside really entertained us right here in this booth a few years ago? Just a tremendous talent, and one of the many, as we've talked about it, down through the ages on both sides of this rivalry that have made their mark to build these two programs into the powers they are. Dorman's return to the 29, very minimal after the kick, and that award-winning chain crew on the far side getting set up for a Dorman drive with the score even for the first time. Gaffney had pulled within one score on a couple of occasions, but this effort, every bit of extension from Landon Bullock, and then a job to get up, chase it down, and carry it into the end zone. All Landon Bullock and all even here at Dorman.
5'11", 205, senior, one of the linebackers we talked about with Little John Dabble, Wade, some of the others that have been instrumental in tonight's game, King, Dabble as well. So here we go. Let's see how Dorman's going to respond after a couple touchdowns for Gaffney to get a top.
Boy, that brings back memories, doesn't it? A high snap that's just got to be high-pointed by the quarterback, Hudson Talley, to avoid disaster here. And Talley will keep it in front. That's mindful of those final seconds of the contest at the reservation last year when the game was this tight and on the line. This works out okay for Dorman, though. 5-yard loss, but possession remains with the Cavaliers. And there's a lot of football left on a night where most scores have come in under 2 minutes. Talley has a man. There's Norman. His defender falls down. Norman will make another defender or two miss in his own right, and he's into Gaffney territory at the 46-yard line. Now, Norman seems to be grabbing the backside of his left hip, perhaps. Let's take another look. Boy, what great work he does after the catch, Tom.
Yeah, and he was wide open again. We've seen that on both sides in the secondary tonight on several occasions, and really difficult with that spin to get a hold of him and bring him down. And he and see a lot of Porter tonight. Rogers not out there as well.
Yeah, both these teams a little short-handed in terms of injuries, some based upon protocols as well, some learning of that as late as this afternoon. And that's the nature of the way the sport has transpired along the way. Now, here, Tom, is one more glance at this toss. Boy, you give all the credit in the world to Norman for what he did after the catch, but how about the blocking scheme and the work of Talley to deliver the football on target?
Yeah, Talley, and not only that, but if you saw Edward Jeffries as well as a wide receiver that provided a block on the edge, and that gave him the opportunity to be able to deliver that. I mean, Norman is a dangerous young man when he is able to corral the football. Not big, 5'5", 150. A senior, came in with 16 catches, 169 yards, and a touchdown. He's got another touchdown here tonight, and that was on a 76-yard pass from Hudson Talley here in the second half. Good to see that he is able to get up. And
if you read the tea leaves there, perhaps some cramping, which we've seen some of at times tonight. He's going to, boy, that picture worth 1,000 words there. A young man that Dorman would not want to be without. We talked about the return of Will Black tonight. They expect to have the key defender as well, and Xavier Birch back. Coach Gutshaw telling us when they hit region play again next week, try to build upon that 1-0 region record. So they hope to see Norman back and back quickly. And back to the ground approach as after the last couple of snaps were taken by Hudson Talley. You see Bomar once again. Doesn't matter who's back there, you know that that Gaffney front line going to be a force to be reckoned with. Like Futrell in there.
Yep.
Name we haven't necessarily called a lot tonight, but Tamar J. Futrell, a junior defensive lineman, stepping up for the Indians, forcing the second and long.
Been a lot of plays in the secondary here tonight from both teams as well, but on occasion the front line guy has been able to get it, stuff it a little bit, and that was a big play right there.
Closing in on 9 minutes remaining in a tie game now. There is Will Black, and the ball pops out right into the hands of a Gaffney Indian defender. Now, who's going to have it at the bottom of the pile may be a different question, and the signal is Gaffney. So the Indians, now Dorman's coming out of there with the football. One official on this side signaled that it belonged to Gaffney. But Dorman trying to sell that they have the pigskin, In the end, our referee will indicate Gaffney football. Well, that sequence, about as wild as the back and forth nature of this football game. Here's the ball to Will Black, and watch it pop right into Gaffney's hands.
It turns, he's got control of it, and then hit to right there on the elbow, and that ball just pops up in the air.
Philip Wade doing a nice job getting his hat on it for Gaffney.
Was it Dowdell? It was. It was Dowdell that came up with the football.
And after a mad scramble for it on the turf, Gaffney goes to work, and Gaffney goes to work by putting it in the hands of Tyler Smith. He's got first down yardage and a whole lot more. A fresh set of First Franklin Financial first downs at the 38. Gaffney, Tom, in search of its first lead of the night. The Indians had pulled within one touchdown on more than one occasion. And now they find themselves in position to push out front for the first time mid-fourth quarter.
Yep, we're under 9 minutes to go here in the ball game.
Again, it's Smith, and a solid job by that front line. Flag coming in way late as there was some extracurricular going on down around where Edward Jeffries was located in that Dorman secondary. And the flag drew kind of the hands in the air from Jeffries. We'll see. And again, it seemed to be post-play. And it looks as if it is going to be against the Indians. Not what Gaffney needed timing-wise for this infraction.
Dead ball. Personal flag. On the up.
At this juncture in the ball game, you know, Jason, we had seen, we'll see. I think you see it there at the end. Yeah, the push to the face and puts the hands up and got caught prior to that.
Now second down and forever now. Sorry about that, Tom, with 8:28 to play. But you know Loftus has the arm strength. He already has thrown a 90-yard touchdown tonight. This one wouldn't be that long. It's in the direction of the same target, Corey, on the far side, but it's incomplete. And now, just as quickly as Gaffney was marching into Dorman territory, this stalled by the penalty.
Yep.
And third and forever in front of the Indians, they need the 28-yard line to move the chains.
I was going to say that when down by 14, they got the drive at good field position, and each handoff until you finally eventually throw a 5-yard touchdown pass. They establish the line of scrimmage at that point. They might try to do that. 8.5 to go here late in the game. That penalty really changed the dynamics and the play calling.
Fans getting in behind the Dorman Cavaliers, third-ranked team in the state, the Gaffney Indians, trying to drive for the lead. And this is dumped off to Ken Littlejohn. Ball is incomplete. That's going to be ruled incomplete right away by our official out in the flat. And it will be fourth down. A.J. Haynes coming on to kick it away to Dorman. So the Cavaliers with a stand at midfield to get it back with 8:15 to play. And if you just happen to be joining us, we got at least 4 or 5 scores perhaps left in this game. There have been touchdowns tonight of 1:49, 44 seconds, 47 seconds, 2:19, 1:11, 2:14, 1:36, and oh, by the way, a long drive at 3:53. The last one that ended up putting Dorman on the board before the block punt that has turned the tide for Gaffney. 8:07 left to settle it on an even night in Spartanburg County. Well, on a night where Coach Gutshaw tangling with Gaffney's Dan Jones, is headed into the final 8 minutes and change of this contest with nothing settled. On a night where 391 yards of offense belong to Gaffney and 423 yards of total offense belong to Dorman. It's Dave Gutshaw's Cavaliers taking over and Dan Jones' defense being asked to tighten up at the 19-yard line. As Dorman goes to work first down. Good news, Kendall Norman back. Now Gaffney's going to snuff this out. Boy, that front line for the Indians, leaving no room for Foster, who's been amazing tonight. 16 carries, 184 yards, and a touchdown. He's averaging 11 per carry. Now, a couple of long runs will skew that a bit, but still an impressive night for Foster. He's stacked up here. But, Tom, here's Dorman, second down, in their own territory with 7:36 and ticking downward, trying to upend an unbeaten Gaffney squad, ranked third in the state. I was just going to say, this time Foster does have some room up across the 20. It was good to see Kendall Norman back out on the football field here after cramping up a little bit the last possession.
Yeah, definitely a difference maker in the game. So is that young man right there. But you get behind the change again. But we've seen this tonight with Dorman. They will run the football when it's second down and long, and they've been able to have pretty good success doing it.
Now there's Foster looking over this direction with one of those two quarterbacks. A two-quarterback system for Dorman. Who would have imagined? Something Coach Gutshall said he did not imagine, but had to embrace and has enjoyed. Talley and Bomar both good tonight in different ways. On third down, it's Talley taking the snap. And Hudson Talley going to fire this toward that Dorman sideline. This was well covered, and it is incomplete. And fourth down coming now, Dorman to kick it away. Gaffney, you would think, should have pretty good field position here with 6:45 to go. Boy, this has the feel of one of those classic, memorable playoff games between these two. And again, not even a region win on the line tonight, but don't think for a moment that doesn't mean everything's going to be left on the field. The last punt for Dorman, blocked by Gaffney, by Bullock, who ended up picking it up in the end zone for a touchdown. Landon Bullock not in any way, aside from the many highlight moments of the night, certainly right in the center portion of this narrative with his work on special teams. There have been so many heroic moments, so many big plays. You got a 90-yard touchdown pass. You got a pick six early in this contest. You got a 40-plus yard touchdown run. You got a fourth down stand. It's all been there if you like football tonight.
A resilient effort by Gaffney, down 14-0. Looked like they were going to go down 21-0 early in the ball game, and got a fourth down stand, and then that 90-yard touchdown pass, and then down by 14 again. They've got a tie.
Here's Tyler Smith. He comes out of there. He's got some room. He's going to cut the seam at the 30. Finds a position far side to go to the pylon, and Gaffney has placed itself out front on the run of the night for Tyler Smith. The Indians have taken the lead in the fourth quarter.
Dave Smith's a guy that can get it done, and he had 15 rushing touchdowns coming in.
Looks smothered right up to the line there.
And then he turns the corner and catch me if you can.
Looked smothered at the line. The good work to keep the hands out by Tate as well. And now it'll be up to the left foot of A.J. Haynes to make sure that Gaffney's lead is extended to 7. The extra point, as true as every extra point we've seen on both sides tonight. And after a 59-yard rushing touchdown by Tyler Smith, the fans on the far side, having made the trip over from Gaffney, are celebrating their first lead of the night. That's how you tuck it right inside the pylon. 42-35 Indians with 6:21 to play.
How about another big play in the ball game? And gosh, have we seen two outstanding running backs here tonight in Smith, Tyler Smith there, and also from Demarius Foster, what they've been able to accomplish. But you know, Gaffney, I was going to say prior to that, just a resilient effort, down to 14 twice, and now they've got the lead at 6:21 to go. And we'll find out if Dorman has an answer. But Smith bounced up inside, wasn't there, able to get to the outside and able to take it the distance. Boy, we've had a lot of games over the years, Jason. I'm not sure we've seen one that has had as many big plays in it as this one has.
Yeah, if you love football, this is your kind of night. If you love the back and forth affair, shootout fashion, both teams at this point, eclipsing their season average. Dorman came in averaging 31 points per game. They're 35. Gaffney averaged 36.8. The Indians have put up 42. And again, if you weren't with us all along the way, this is the first time the third-ranked team in the state, the unbeaten Indians, have led tonight. It's been Dorman. At a couple of points, it looked like Dorman could have pulled away. As you said, up 14. They had a chance to make it 21-0 early before the Gaffney goal line stand, but the Indians hung around, and now lead it. What will the Dorman response be? That's good field position for Dorman up to the 40-yard line on the short kick, and 6:16 is plenty of time for these teams to go back and forth a little while longer on our punch and counter-punch evening.
What was the longest drive we've had, Jason? 3:41, so 6:19, whatever it is 6:16 is plenty of time. But for Dorman, we'll see how they bounce back. We talked about Gaffney and their ability to come from behind. Now that Dorman finds themselves in arrears here, we'll see what they can come up with here.
3:53, the longest drive of the night. 3:53 on that 8-play, 42-yard drive that was capped off by the 6-yard pass from Loftus into the back of the end zone to Little John. First down, Dorman. You know that this Cavaliers team can score quick. Playing from behind for the first time tonight. Flag down at the 36 and the ball carrier down at the 40. You get Bomar back into the contest at the quarterback position. You can tally splitting time tonight. Let's hear the call from our referee.
Holding. Offense. 10 yards from the spot. First down.
Yeah, another tough penalty there. It's not what happened last week with the 17 and 170 yards. Boy, when they occur, it can make a big difference to the ball game, and particularly in this situation with the way it's a 42-35 game down by 7 at 6:09, it's going to push them back.
All right, as they walk this off, get ready for the play. We'll give you those drives along the way. Think about this, 4 plays, 61-49. That's what put Dorman on the board. Then you had the pick 6. Gaffney's answer? We'll share after this play. Up through the middle, and there's Foster. Gaffney's answer ends up being a 90-yard pass from Loftus to Corey after that defensive stop. 2 plays, 94 yards, 44 seconds. The ensuing touchdowns, 47 seconds, 2:19, 1:11, 2:14, 1:36, and then all that 3:53 drive that you talked about ahead of a 13-second drive for Gaffney the last time on the 59-yard rush, which was just the one play to Smith. So those have been the scoring drives tonight. That's why we look at 5:23 if you weren't with us, and we say, hey, a long way to go here at Dorman tonight. The history says that as well. Somehow able to get away is Talley, and he's going to turn something out of nothing. It's going to be third and manageable. Now, that had disaster written all over it, and Talley somehow escaped.
Yeah, the good pressure in the secondary wasn't there, and had good pressure up front, had to step up inside, broke the tackle, good-sized young man, and get what you can and get down. So here comes a critical play in this ball game.
Well, that chain crew of the week in the Palmetto State has the first down marker squarely on the 50-yard line. So if Dorman crosses midfield, they keep the drive alive here on third down. Bomar, the ninth grader, using his legs to get to the 44. That's about all that will be available. And it is fourth down. Now it becomes decision time with 4:27 left to play and fourth down and about 6 in effect. And the decision has already been made. Bennett Hinges is trotting out onto the field. Here's the play by Bomar, but the Dorman's kicking unit is out there. Yeah, remember, this is anything but a given as they get ready to punt the football here, Tom. We've had a punt blocked for a touchdown by Gaffney tonight. This time the Indians lay back, and it is caught at the 21-yard line. 4 minutes even remaining in the football game, Tom Van Hoy, with Gaffney taking over, holding a 7-point lead.
Yeah, we talked about the big offensive line. Will they try to establish it and run some time off the clock? There haven't been any 17-play, 80-yard drives for 9 minutes, whatever. You're going to have 4 minutes left in the game. But Gaffney's got 3 timeouts. Dorman's got 2. We'll see what happens here. First down has become so critical for both teams here late in the ball game, you get behind the change, and it changes the play calling, what you want to be able to do. But from Dorman's standpoint, they've got to get a stop, and they've got to get the football back.
Cavs have to have the football back. Ken Littlejohn and Tyler Smith, will fare heavily into Gaffney's desire to salt this one away. And it's going to be Littlejohn with the first carry, but he is chased out there by Deshaun Parks, the senior linebacker. And the Dorman Cavaliers get what they needed on first down. Second coming, and precious seconds now begin to roll off the game clock. Here's the first down play for Gaffney, the run by Littlejohn.
Dave Parks has had a good night tonight. He's an outside linebacker at 6'1", 165. Senior. Good play there.
This Gaffney offense that has, along the way tonight, accumulated 446 yards of total offense. And by the way, that's a dead even number with Dorman before this play, but this is going to raise that total and secure a first down for Gaffney up near midfield. That's a First Franklin Financial first down at beyond the 40. Take a look at this key run for Ken Littlejohn.
Yeah, Littlejohn is he slide in and out with Tyler Smith, and somewhat bottled up to a certain extent tonight, but a lot like Smith on that touchdown run. Bounced inside. There's nothing inside, and he bounced to the outside. And his acceleration, able to get to the sideline. That's a huge play to move the chains.
I was going to say, how often this late in the football game do you have identical numbers? Both teams before that run were at 446 yards of total offense apiece, even. And Gaffney, despite all those yards tonight, needing a first down or two to try to put the football game away. They look to Ken Littlejohn again to that end. Cavaliers, as you can see, a couple of timeouts remaining. So 2:35 can be stretched out a bit here as the ball rests on that Dorman logo ahead of second down and 5.
So I thought we were over 900 yards. And, it's kind of like we're watching the Southern Conference game with Sanford ball. You go over 1,000 yards about every single game.
476 now, the Gaffney total to 446 for Dorman. If you're looking at total yards tonight, they very well have 1,000 between these two before all is said and done. And take a look at the third down play that is coming right on the heart of that Dorman logo after timeout. Cavaliers with 2 and change remaining.
And that was Parks again. I think it came from the backside to make that tackle or get a hand on the ankle there to knock him down. And, obviously becomes a huge play in this game. If you don't make it, going to kick it away, no doubt, I would think. And depending on where it is, I guess. But in 7-point ball game, and
just let that moment sink in. There is David Gutshaw, the legendary head coach of the Cavaliers, weighing his options with 2:02 left to play.
417 wins in his outstanding career. Talked about the state championships at North Carolina.
6-0 record on the line for the Gaffney Indians as they huddle up, looking for a third down conversion that would put them ever so closer to a 7-0 start to the season. And this would be, again, second year in a row that Gaffney would have won a nail-biter against Dorman at the reservation last year right here on our air on Friday Night Rivals. And to come on the road here at Dorman, a team that is hitting its stride for Coach Gutshaw and company, and still away a road victory, non-region though it may be, it would be a feather in the cap for Dan Jones and his crew. But this is a big third down to that end on both sides. Third down and 4. Ken Littlejohn upended, and there he is again, Tom. Dorman able to come up with the stop when they needed it. Fourth down, timeout used with 1:55, and 1:55, as we just documented for you a minute ago, plenty of time for the Cavaliers.
3 consecutive tackles by Parks there, and boy, it's another big-time play. We get one more look at it here, and give it to Smith, and then coming off the backside there, it'll trip him up and make the play. We got some help there.
Deshaun Parks with the defensive work for Dorman on the must-have stand of the night. You felt like that stand for Gaffney early in the game, where Dorman was in a position to make it 21-0, was must-have to turn the tide. This was for Dorman, must-have to give your offense a chance. And now fourth down having been forced, and this one shaping up to be a nail-biter in the finish between Gaffney and Dorman. Ball resting on the 46-yard line. And A.J. Haynes is going to stand back around his 30 now. Don't look beyond Kendall Norman to the possession for Dorman, because Norman, he can tie the game if he finds some open space right here, right now. Gaffney has made it a point not to kick it to Norman yet tonight. They've been able to play a little keep away. Dorman sending some pressure. Here's Norman. He's running up, and he'll dive into the football at the 29-yard line, and Dorman is separated by 71 yards from the touchdown needed to tie the football game.
Okay, that's a heck of a play by Norman, because it's a dangerous play. You come up on a line drive kick, but if it hits, you never know how it's going to bounce with the oblong ball. So I think we could possibly save Dorman 10, 15 yards there. Let's see what the minute 49 to go with the Cavaliers to do.
Well, what quarterback is he going to go with to begin this decisive drive of the contest? It's going to be Hudson Talley out with 1:49 left to play in the football game, and Gaffney leading by a touchdown. Here are the Cavaliers. Looking for the drive to tie. Here's a reverse. Going to be Norman attempting to use his speed on the corner. He will. Across the 40. You know what he can do, even past contact, and he's into Gaffney territory at the 45-yard line. Kendall Norman okay? He no worse for the wear after leaving a little bit ago? The answer, a resounding yes.
Say, Gaffney will look back on this one, and again, a couple of broken tackles along the way, but we give Norman credit. When we first gave the ball to Foster, you got to be aware of where he is. Block out on the edge, no penalties, and I tell you, the spin, kind of a side
on
spin.
First down, here's a pass over the middle, nearly into the grasp of a Gaffney defender, but incomplete. So second down and 10 for Dorman. You give credit, Tom, to Norman. You also give credit to the Dorman coaching staff for drawing that up in that moment. Gave them the momentum they needed to push into Gaffney territory, and now 119 is plenty of time from the 45-yard line.
Yeah, you got to work on discipline on defense as well. Foster's had a heck of a night, but Norman, when he gets the ball in his hands, that's what he can do.
Well, it's the upperclassman, Hudson Talley, getting the nod on his final drive at the quarterback position. And he's got a man in the flat. It was the early touchdown scorer on the ground in Foster, who's rushed for nearly 200 tonight. He has one of the key receptions, and he's near the first down sticks for Dorman with just over a minute to play.
Well, keep him in front. I mean, defensively, that's okay. You know, let him catch it, but then, you know, bottom him up after that. And there's Bullock again and Tate McDowell, who have both had outstanding nights as well.
Third down and 1. Dorman is not going to pick it up on third down. And now the clock rolling to 42 and downward, a 4th and 3 that has the potential to end the football game faces the Cavaliers. Well, how about the front line work for Gaffney again? And in there to make the stop for the Indians is Futrell when they need it most. 4th down, pass caught, somehow held on to move the chains and keep hope alive for Dorman. Boy, how about the job Kelly did in order to reel that in? And there's the clock play, so Dorman will get it stopped with 21 seconds remaining.
Got a shot.
Well, I hope we can see that catch one more time at some point. Here it comes before Dorman gets set to run the next play. Take a look at this. How to be able to hang on to this play is just something special. Mo Fowler. And here is Dorman on second down. Boy, that would have been devastating had they been able to trip up Talley. Instead, he throws to open real estate, and a flag comes in after contact at the 8-yard line when Dorman was looking for Kendall Norman.
Tate McDowell, I think, made contact there, and again, it'll be just a penalty from the line of scrimmage, trying to go back across and holding on to him there. Pretty good call, I think.
But it is going to inch Dorman a little closer, and on second down, it gives them the scenario they needed in downs. How about the 4th down conversion? You don't have much time to pause and dwell on it, but to hang on on fourth
Pass
down.
interference.
Remarkable.
On the defense. Half the distance to
Remember,
the
no
goal.
timeouts left.
There you heard the call from our official. 13 seconds remaining, and it's a great point, Tom. Dorman cannot stop the clock. That's why when you almost saw Tally pulled down a moment ago, you're like, it could be the devastating moment for the Cavs. But here's Dorman looking for the end zone to tie the game. Back of the end zone, just out of the reach of the intended target back there. And incomplete. 8 seconds remain.
You got time for 2 quick ones. I mean, you can't really have a long developing play. You need to get it out in a hurry. But
that was Armani Weaver back there. Why not go to the hot hand? Remember, he had the pick 6 earlier tonight and a second interception to follow that up, but just a little too tall on the pass. Well, downs are not an issue. This is second down. Ticks of the clock are. And it winds down to 5. Thrown toward the corner. Incomplete with 3 seconds remaining. And we've got the final play of the football game coming, at least regulation-wise, with Dorman needing a touchdown to tie it.
Yeah, tried to go one-on-one there. Pretty good opportunity maybe to go up and get it, but good defensive by Tim McGill there. I think battling Foster in the end zone.
Barring any kind of penalty here, the football game hinges on this play. 42-35 Gaffney, 3 seconds on the clock as Hudson Talley takes the snap. He is pressured. Tossed toward the end zone. It is incomplete. And the Gaffney Indians have held on for a 42-35 win on the road at Dorman to start unbeaten at 7-0. The third-ranked team in the state survives with a late goal line stand.
Had some opportunities for Dorman down there. Good job defensively. I think Landon Bullock is the young man who blocked the punt and got the touchdown. He may be the one in on this defensive play as well there at the end as he leaped it, is he? And right in front of Norman, had a really good opportunity there. Tremendous play.
Landon Bullock, who had the punt block and recovered it in the end zone, ended up tipping the football on the goal line to give Gaffney a 42-35 win. Boy, these contests between Dorman and Gaffney, nobody has played more in the history of Dorman as far as a football opponent. Nobody the Cavaliers have played more than the Indians, and maybe nobody they've played more down to the wire like this. Look at the moment after as these coaches meet midfield. And Tom, how about another helping of this somewhere along the way? Maybe in late November. I don't think the fans in the state of South Carolina would mind it at all. And there's Coach Dan Jones trying to put into words what his team just did. They took the lead for the first time in the fourth quarter and withstood Coach Gutshaw's challenge in the closing seconds for a 7-point win. Well, on a night where nearly 1,000 yards of total offense was racked up, a lot of dirty jerseys all over the place. We give the nod for the dirty jersey of the game, brought to you by Henson's Mulch and more, to Clay Putnam of Gaffney. He did great work on that front line all night long.
Yeah, nose tackle, a young sophomore, 6 feet, 240. He was a disruptive force tonight.
Boy, Gaffney taking the lead in the fourth quarter in a contest that Dorman had really put together a dominant first quarter, in position at one point to take a 21-0 lead, a Gaffney goal line stand at the end, mirrored the Gaffney defensive stand when it was 14-0 on the verge of being 21-0 that ignited the Indian offense. Dan Jones had a 90-yard touchdown pass behind that. The rest is history. We'll hear from the victorious head coach of the Gaffney Indians on the other side of the break, the trophy presentation, coming up on Friday Night Rivals.
You guys back a little bit. Let's go. Kelly, we have the coach and the team that's coming over right now. Yeah, coach, give us a mic check. Testing 1, 2.
1, 2, 3. 1. We good?
Okay, we're good. Yeah, they got you. Yeah.
A 7-0 start for the 21 fall edition of the Gaffney Indians. This is a football season to remember, it seems, already for the crew out of Gaffney. Tonight, one of those memorable moments. It was not without its drama. Arriving at a 42-35 final, both Dorman and Gaffney showing they're going to be a force to be reckoned with down the stretch. And Nelson's now with a happy Dan Jones and his team as they do remain perfect with a big win on the road here at Dorman.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jason. This is the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Carolina Furniture Concepts. Coach, congratulations on the hard-fought victory here this evening.
Thank you very much. These guys, great effort. Love you guys. Super victory.
Indeed. Now, Coach, as you recall, last year it was a thriller of a game as well. It went down to the wire. The final score was 30-29 with Gaffney emerging victorious. Tonight you've won by a whole touchdown. How you feeling?
Oh, man, it was a breeze tonight. Couldn't you tell the last play of the game? And not worried at all.
All right. Now, Coach, of course, in the first part of the game, you guys did struggle to get the momentum going. But guess what? You guys did capitalize on that momentum. You took off. You ran. You never let adversity stop you. And you've emerged victorious here this evening. Talk to us about what led to this moment. What kind of preparation did you give the boys?
Well, had a great week of practice for one. I told the kids that this was the best week we had had this week. You know, I'm glad we got down 14 because had a little adversity, and the kids battled back and bragged on the defense because we was about to be down 21-0, and they had a goal line stand there. Then the offense started making a few plays and getting us back in the game. And it just seems like every year, Dorman, Gaffney, anybody that don't pay $6 come see this game is crazy.
Now, Coach, with tonight's win, takes you to a 4-2 record. What's going to be the strategy for next week's game?
What?
I'm sorry, what? Excuse me.
7-0.
Excuse me, Coach. Just want to make sure you're paying attention. Want to make sure you're paying attention, Coach. Takes you to a 7-0. Yeah, 7-0 record. And furthermore, you guys do remain one of the 4 teams that are undefeated in the 5A class. I was paying attention, Coach. Want to make sure you're paying attention.
All right.
What's going to be the strategy for next week's game?
Well, I hope they've seen the score for Nation Ford and Bowling Springs, and they beat them more than we did. So, hey, we got our hands full. It's back to region play. And this game is great. You always play to get a victory, but this game doesn't matter as far as region. And we start that again next week, so we got to get a victory.
Well, Coach, you now have your hands full because I'm going to hand you this. Congratulations to you. Congratulations, team! Back to you, Tom. Back to you, Jason.
They're unbeaten, no doubt about it. And Tom, 2 teams, both Gaffney, who showed it tonight, and Dorman, who reminded you by being so tied into this football game throughout. 2 teams that can both end their seasons in the state capital when all said and done.
Chance to make a run. Both of these teams do a resilient effort by Gaffney, down by 14 early, could have been 21, but the goal line stand he was talking about there at the end, and then down by 14 second half, and final 3 touchdowns to win it.
A signature rivalry win for the Gaffney Indians as they come on the road at Dorman. and pick it up by an inch here, an inch there, and one touchdown, the separation for the Gaffney win.